If you like the story, you can support the author on Patreon. Link is in the description.
Chapter 151, A Small Convergence. There are a few recorded cases of people claiming to have temporarily slipped into a parallel timeline only to return moments later. But there was no hard evidence that these things did happen. Some believe there are specific places where the walls between two realities become thinner, allowing people to accidentally pass through. Harry held his wand and performed a series of detection spells he had learned from the book. I see. It is as I thought after all. He confirmed at least one of his theories. The intense magic of the chamber had made the space extremely chaotic and unstable. That would make it possible for the basilisks living here to appear in from different timelines. That explains why so many supposedly unique magical creatures ended up in the same place. Meaning that my theory about the Kataka ritual was not that far off. Countless basilisks became trapped inside this chamber and started to devour each other. The powerful ancient magic in this place must have acted as a Kataka jar. An unintended ritual, that's how that massive monster came to be. This was not someone's plot but just some cosmic accident. But why here though? Why did hundreds or even thousands of those basilisks all end up being locked in this particular reality and not somewhere else? Could it be because of me? He didn't want to sound arrogant, but he had experienced a lot of bizarre things lately. He saw an alternate version of himself back at Diagon Alley and an alternate Hermione on the train. Not to mention the fact that he was here in the first place was already very strange. What if I am the cause of all of these anomalies? The last chapter of the book was written by one of the inventors of the time dust contained inside the time turners, and he was one of the first time travelers in recorded history. During his later years of life, he wrote a very complex theory called the convergence event. In it, the author reflected on the dangers of time travel itself and how one day, his invention was going to bring about the end of all existence. Maybe I should consult with someone else about this. Perhaps the headmaster could offer some useful insight on the what. All of a sudden, his vision became blurry. He took off his glasses and rubbed his eyes. When he opened them again, he was shocked to find the Chamber of Secrets completely changed. The damage was all gone, and all the snake statues were back in place, along with the water at the sides of the corridor. Even the statue of Salazar Slytherin at the end looked completely pristine. "Ginny, please, wake up." Two figures came into view at the end of the stone path. A young boy was kneeling next to an unconscious girl. Oh, not this. Harry became mesmerized by the familiar scene. Right, this also happened at the end of May, didn't it? He wasn't sure if this was the same day, but it looked like he was the one who had broken into a different timeline. If that is the case, then, he should be about to appear. Harry glanced to the left of where his alternate version was. She won't wake. A handsome young man made his entrance, walking with confidence toward the two kids. Tom Riddle? Little Harry asked. What do you mean she won't wake? She is not. She is still alive. Tom interrupted him and got closer. But only just. It seemed like no one had noticed the second Harry standing in the middle of the corridor. Are you a ghost? Little Harry asked. I am a memory, Tom answered. A memory preserved in a diary for 50 years. Little Harry checked on Ginny again. She is cold as ice, please don't be dead. While he was distracted, Tom took the opportunity to steal the boy's wand. You have to help me, Tom, there is a basilisk down here. Little Harry said with urgency. Tom had a satisfied grin, confident that his victory was assured. It won't come, unless it's called. Little Harry then noticed his wand had been stolen. Took him a while. Harry rolled his eyes. Was I ever that naive? Maybe I was. Give me my wand, Tom, Little Harry requested softly, still not realizing what was happening. You won't be needing it, Tom prevented Harry from grabbing his wand. Listen, Tom, we have to go. We have to save her. Little Harry exclaimed. I can't do that, Harry, you see, as Ginny grows weaker, I grow stronger, Tom told him. Little Harry was so confused. Yes, Harry, it was Ginny Weasley who OP. Oh, shut up, Tom. Harry's patience had reached its limits, and he decided to do something other than stand there and watch as his look-alike made a fool of himself. And you? He pointed at Little Harry. How long is it going to take for you to realize that he is the bad guy? Because it's getting bloody embarrassing. Both Tom and Little Harry turned to look at him. What is this? Tom's eyes went back and forth between the two Harrys. Who are you? Little Harry became startled. Someone who shouldn't be here, but here I am for some reason, so let's make something useful at least. Harry gave his wand a flick, and Ginny's body started to levitate. Exoresco. He then used the drying charm to remove all the water from her clothes. Much better. Little Harry stared at him in awe. How did you do that? Why do you look like me? Well, you see. I am you. He then turned to Tom. Hello Voldemort, or do you actually prefer to be called Tom now? Because that would be awkward. Chapter 152, Facing the Past. You're me? Wait, you're Voldemort. Little Harry wasn't sure what to be more surprised about. I was getting to that part. Tom was losing his cool persona. But it's true, Voldemort and I are one and the same. He then used the stolen wand to write his name in the air and rearranged the letters to spell I am Lord Voldemort. Little Harry gasped. It's really you then? You are the one behind all of this. You must also be the heir of Slytherin. Tom smiled. Who else but me would be worthy of such a title? He thought it was Draco Malfoy. Harry pointed at little Harry. I did not. He got embarrassed. It was Ron's idea. And threw his friend under the metaphorical bus. I do wonder, why is there another Harry Potter now? Tom observed him carefully. I could have guessed a time-turner, but you two look too different to only be a few hours apart, a badly made polyjuice perhaps. Harry glanced at little Harry. Tom was not wrong, despite being the same person, they were quite different. Harry's body was in perfect shape, unlike his malnourished counterpart. He wore new glasses made of enchanted silver instead of those old broken ones that Aunt Petunia found in the donation bin of the church. He also wore expensive, tailor-made clothes under his silk robes. His hair was well combed and secured in place with a charm that prevented it from becoming messy like it used to be. We do look different, yes, but we are the same in the end. However, explaining exactly who I am and how I got here would take too long, and I'm not sure I have that much time. No matter. 1 Potter or 2, the basilisk will take care of you. Tom shouted. The basilisk. Little Harry got alarmed. While Tom was busy speaking Parseltongue, Harry took the chance to move the levitating Ginny closer to him. The girl was still clutching onto the diary. I'll be taking that. He then pointed his wand at her and placed a sanctuary barrier. The protective cocoon enveloped her completely in a sphere of pure white light. What did you do to her? Little Harry demanded to know. This is a protective barrier so she doesn't get more hurt than she already is. But you should be paying more attention to that. Harry pointed to the statue of Salazar Slytherin as its mouth opened and the basilisk emerged. Even though he was terrified, little Harry tried to speak with the snake using Parseltongue and convince it to go away. It won't work, it only listens to me, Tom said with a tinge of smugness. But then he noticed Ginny. What is that? We need to run. Don't stand there. Little Harry approached him before looking at where Ginny was. She is going to be okay in there. Of course, a snake of this size would not be able to break my protection, Harry assured him. That's a basilisk, not just a snake. Don't look into its eyes or you will die. Little Harry held onto his robes. Come on. We need to get away. Haha. Yes, you better run, little Gryffindors. But you will never escape the Slytherin beast. This place will be your tomb. Tom looked very satisfied now. It's okay, Harry, he told the terrified child. You should have never been put in this situation. He felt some pity for this young version of himself, knowing firsthand how much pain he had gone through already and how much he still had left. The basilisk hissed angrily and continued to approach. Keep your eyes closed, no matter what you hear, everything will be fine, Harry told his counterpart with a calm voice. This time, he didn't need to use any amplification for his ears, he knew exactly where the basilisk was. Petra. His wand made contact with the cold stone. Treatisim hasti. The 13 stone spears penetrated the beast's body with no mercy, starting from its head and moving their way across. Like the previous time, the spears continued to rise up, lifting the giant snake in the air, as if it were being prepared for a barbecue. Tom Riddle stared at the scene without being able to articulate a sound. He could never have imagined the basilisk being defeated so quickly. The young boy made it almost look easy. Just one spell and a 1,000-year-old basilisk was no more. You can open your eyes now. That thing is dead, Harry said. Little Harry hesitated for a moment but eventually opened them slowly. Wait! It's still moving. As he started to look up, he saw part of the beast move and started to panic. Reptiles will continue to move for a few minutes after they die. I assure you, that is dead. Isn't that right, Tom? Why how could you do this? Tom reacted. What the bloody hell? Little Harry was now able to get a good look at what happened. How did you do that? Where did all those spikes come from? Harry gave him an intense look. Well, you know, magic. Chapter 153, An Unexpected Gain. Basilisks are extremely resistant to magic, so you used transfiguration. Tom noted. Who are you really? I demand to know. Are you Albus Dumbledore? The professor. Little Harry stared at him with shock. I won't have a conversation with you, little fragment. Harry waved his wand at Tom. The latter immediately got on guard but was too slow. With one fluid motion, Harry chained 3 silent spells, starting with a silencio, followed by an expelliarmus, and ending with an incarcerus. The holly wand flew in the air and landed in his hand as Tom fell down, covered in white chains. But as soon as he hit the floor, his body disappeared. He's gone! Little Harry exclaimed. No, the only way to get rid of him and save Ginny is to destroy this diary. Harry gave Little Harry the black book. Destroy it? Can we just burn it? The boy asked. With fiend fire, maybe, but normal fire will not damage a horcrux. He mentioned that name on purpose, hoping that Dumbledore would later read these memories from Little Harry. May as well give them a heads up. What? Little Harry had never heard that name before. Remember this because it's important. A horcrux is a container with a piece of someone's soul. It allows you to extend your life, as long as the containers are not destroyed. Harry explained while walking towards the basilisk head. Once below it, he used a cutting charm to sever one of its fangs and allow it to fall. Before it touched the ground, Harry picked it up by the cut side. There are a few things that can destroy these containers. Fiend fire and basilisk venom are the easiest ones to use. He walked back to Little Harry. Put the book on the floor. Harry released the protection on Ginny. She remained there, floating in the air with her eyes closed. Is she going to be okay? Little Harry asked. She will be after we destroy that. Right now, her soul is being contained in there along with Tom Riddle's. Once we destroy the container, her soul will be set free. So, you are going to stab the diary with that? Little Harry pointed at the giant fang. No, you are going to do it. What? Little Harry was startled. He did not find the idea of holding a fang with the deadliest venom in the world appealing. Just don't poke yourself with it and you'll be fine. Harry handed the fang, and the boy took it with utmost care. But wait a moment, I'll tell you when to stab it, Harry instructed. What are you going to do? Little Harry asked when he saw his other version waving his wand around. Shhh, be quiet for a moment, I need to focus. I'm not very good with this. Little Harry was now even more curious. After seeing him kill the basilisk like it was nothing, he wondered what kind of magical feat could be considered difficult for him. Chunks of rock came flying by themselves and started to circle above Harry. They then clumped together and started to melt into one and deform as if they were made of clay. The new material became darker in color and shrank in size until it was no bigger than a tennis ball. What is that black thing? Little Harry asked, but received no answer. Harry then changed the shape of the material until it formed a small flask. Finally, he manifested a series of runes in the air. Little Harry was surprised as he found this to be similar to the magic performed by Tom moments ago when he spelled his name. The runes also started with an orange color, but as Harry placed them onto the black container, they changed color and became pure white. After placing the last rune, Harry examined the still floating container before taking it with his left hand. This should work. He sighed in relief. As usual, he found it very stressful to work with runes. Just one tiny mistake could change the intended effect into something catastrophic. So, you just made a flask. Little Harry could not hide his disappointment. He was expecting something much more impressive. It's a very special flask, trust me. Now, I want you to stop. Tom Riddle appeared again. His calm expression was now gone, replaced by panic. You can't do that. If you destroy that diary, you will also kill the girl. Little Harry gasped in shock and moved his eyes to look at Harry, hoping for an explanation. Of course, he is going to tell you that he doesn't want to die. He will tell you anything to prevent you from destroying that diary, Harry explained. Don't listen to him. He's been lying to you the whole time. He's an imposter. He wants to betray you. Tom shouted. Seeing little Harry hesitate, he spoke again. That's Voldemort, are you really going to trust anything he says? Ah! Little Harry realized. He gave him a nod and lifted the fang in the air. No, stop. Tom tried to stop him but couldn't do much before the fang made contact with the diary. Ah! Tom screamed with agony as grey smoke came out of the place where little Harry had buried the fang. The smoke quickly divided itself into two, one white and one black. The white smoke went inside Ginny while the black smoke started to dissipate. No, you are not leaving. Harry activated the runes on his flask. They shone brightly, and an intense wind vortex formed at the mouth of the black vial. All the black smoke was quickly driven into the container, and once it was all inside, the entrance transformed and sealed itself, preventing any of it from escaping. Got most of it. Harry grinned. He did not plan for this, but when he saw the diary again, he realized that he had to try it. Now he had in his power a fragment of Voldemort's soul. A surprising gain, he thought. As the white smoke returned to her, Ginny seemed to come back to life and started making noises and moving. Ginny! Little Harry forgot about everything else going on and ran to her side. Catch her, I'm going to release the levitation charm I put on her. She is waking up. With the girl in his arms, little Harry felt a wave of relief washing over him. Here, this is yours. Harry returned the holly wand to the boy. Thanks, Little Harry stared at him. Are you really me? Harry chuckled. Why is it so hard to believe? Magic can make the impossible, possible. Then, would I also be able to do all those things you did? Like, all that magic? The boy asked. Sure, but you will have to work hard. This means more study and less messing around with Ron. Little Harry flinched at that moment. Can you teach me? I want to learn. Harry felt his vision becoming blurry. I don't think I have time for that, but you have great teachers to learn from at Hogwarts, except for Snape and Lockhart. Wait. Little Harry saw him fading away. His vision became dark. That girl you are holding, you better take care of her, and good luck. He was going to need it. Chapter 154, The End of Second Year. June 30th. The entire school was gathered in the Great Hall for the last feast of the year. Dumbledore walked to the podium to make his announcements and for a moment, he exchanged a glance with Harry. They had recently had a conversation that left the old man very worried. Harry decided that he had to share his findings with someone else since he didn't know enough about space and temporal anomalies to fix this by himself. Dumbledore was able to understand the issue quite well since he was very familiar with the time book that he lent to him. Unfortunately, he didn't know what to do either since this was not his field of expertise. However, he did promise Harry to get into contact with someone who could know something. Nicholas Flamel was still alive in this timeline and was the wisest man that Dumbledore knew, so he may have something useful to say. At this point, Harry didn't have any better ideas, so he could only wait for an answer on that regard. One more year has come to an end. Dumbledore started his speech. This has been quite an interesting year. We had a bit of a shaky start, but we recovered from it. The students chuckled, completely ignorant of how close they were to being crushed by a snake almost as big as their school. Only a few knew about that. Professors McGonagall and Snape were not smiling at all. But the only ones who had the complete story were the headmaster, Harry, and the three young girls who decided to follow him that afternoon. After that, came the House Cup announcement, and to no one's surprise, it was given to Slytherin. Dumbledore could not give Harry any points for his service of protecting the school since no one was supposed to know about that or his involvement in it. And to be fair, Harry himself could not care any less about who gets to display that cup in their common room for the next year. Then it was time for the Quidditch Cup, and this one, of course, went to Gryffindor. They only lost one game in the entire year, the one that Harry missed, and then proceeded to win every game in less than 60 seconds. Oliver Wood went to pick up the Champions Cup, and you could tell that he had mixed feelings about it since other than Harry, the team had barely done anything. This had earned Harry a mixture of praise and resent during the year and made him question if he even wanted to play the next. The second year had finally come to an end, and it was time to return home. Harry had to admit that despite his previous experiences, this one was particularly exhausting. Harry! Holly jumped at him as soon as he came out of the train. She had grown big enough so he didn't have to kneel as much to hug her. His little sister would soon be 7 years old. Just 4 more years and she will be attending Hogwarts. I'm back, Holly, Harry greeted her. I'm here too, you know. Lyra huffed. She was upset by the fact that Holly would always greet her brother first and then forget about her. Hi. Holly waved at Lyra without letting Harry go. You little. Lyra sighed before turning her attention to her brother. Harry, help me with this thing. It's too heavy, Lyra exclaimed while dragging her suitcase. I'll help you with that, their mother waved her wand and applied a weightless charm to the case. Thanks, Mom. I missed you so much. Lyra went to greet Lily. Lily. Molly Weasley approached them while the rest of the family followed behind. Molly, it's been so long, Lily went to speak with her while their children did the same. Hey. Ginny waved at Lyra. Lyra greeted her, and she glanced at Holly. Hello, Holly. She got closer to the little girl who was still clutching onto Harry's robes. Hi, Holly waved with her free hand. Can I have a hug? Ginny knelt next to her and opened her arms. No, I'm busy. Holly hid behind Harry. Holly, don't be rude. Just let go of Harry already, Lyra scolded her. No. Holly stuck her tongue out. She is getting worse. Lyra sighed. It's fine, Ginny brushed it off. She really loves her big brother, hey. Well, you were just the same with Bill. Percy commented. I was not. Ginny then seemed to recall something. Right. Bill is coming home for 3 weeks this summer, you have to come visit, Lyra. He is going to teach me a cool spell he made. Sure. Lyra grinned. But remember that. Lyra whispered something into her ear. I know, I'll be there, Ginny chuckled. Do you think I can bring Luna? I'll have to ask him, but I'm sure it will be fine, Lyra answered. Ron was getting impatient, so he decided to say something too. Well, I also have plans for the summer. He huffed. I'm going to spend a week with my friend Neville, you know, the boy who lived. He made sure his sister heard him clearly. Ginny turned around and looked at him directly. Have fun, Ron. Hat. Ron was surprised by the lack of reaction. Normally, she would have pestered him with questions or demanded to come too. Ronnie, it's not nice to brag like that, Fred said. Yes, it makes you sound like one of those pompous rich kids, added George. And it doesn't suit you at all. Fred chuckled. I'm not bragging. Ron complained. Yes, that was very uncouth, Ron. As the younger brother of a soon-to-be head boy, you should learn to be more humble, like me, for example, Percy bragged. Yes, you tell him. Mr. Soon-to-be head boy, Fred added. What's going on here? Can't you kids keep it down for 5 minutes? Molly shouted. Chapter 155, A Sudden Emergency. The return home was very much welcomed. After a rough year, Harry was looking forward to a peaceful summer. He made mental notes of the things he had to do during the summer. He had to retrieve some of the materials he ordered from Lord Greengrass and start working on that golem he promised Holly. Harry also wanted to make a trip to the south of Spain. There were a couple of crafters he wanted to meet there. And he had also promised his sister and Ginny that he was going to teach them a few spells. Lyra had asked him if it was okay for Luna to also attend, and he had no problem with that. It actually saved him some trouble as he had been waiting for an excuse to speak with Luna's father. The first week passed in a breeze, but then, one early morning, the Potters received an emergency call through the Flow network from the Greengrass family. They want to speak with you, son, his father urged him toward the fireplace. Harry. He heard Daphne's voice coming out of the flames, and he had never heard her this alarmed before. Was she attacked? Or maybe her family? He tried to think what could have happened to put her in this state. What's wrong, Daphne? He asked. Is Astoria? My sister is dying. Daphne cried. The curse? He asked. But why now? She seemed stable enough when I last saw her, something must have triggered it. My father thinks so. Harry, please, there has to be something you can do, right? She sounded desperate. Daphne, what do you think my son can do? He is no healer, and I'm sure your father has already called the best, James said. Harry thought for a moment. There may be something I can do, but I didn't want to use that again, but if I don't do anything, Astoria is going to die. Harry. Daphne called in between sobs. Keep the floor open, I'll be there in 10 minutes, Harry stood up and started to walk away. Harry, wait. What can you do? Asked James. Harry. Lily placed a hand on his shoulder. Is there really something you can do for that girl? There may be. Was all he could say. Lily could tell that whatever her son was about to do, it wasn't something he was happy about. As long as it won't harm you, I don't care what you do. Your mother will always be on your side. Harry stared at his mother with a complicated expression. Mom. Go, Harry. You shouldn't make a crying girl wait. We can talk later, Lily told him. Harry then left the living room without saying anything else and hurried to his room. Why did you tell him that? James asked. I don't know. I had the feeling he needed to hear those words, Lily told her husband. You can call it motherly instinct. An instinct, yes, I also wonder what had him so troubled. Last year he didn't bat an eye after using an unforgivable curse. It makes me worried what kind of magic will make him hesitate, James said. Dobby. He called with an urgent tone after closing the door. The elf immediately appeared. Master. He felt Harry's distress. I'm fine, there are a few items I need you to retrieve, and you will need to hurry, we don't have much time. Harry and his elf appeared in bursts of green flames and found themselves in a massive dining room. It was the first time he visited the green grass estate, but he had no time for a tour. He immediately found Daphne sitting on a nearby chair. Her face was a mess, she seemed to have been crying for hours. Harry. She stood up as she saw him appear and ran to embrace him. This behavior was so out of character for Daphne that it took him completely off guard. He wrapped one arm around her and realized how much she was trembling. Daphne, it's going to be okay. I'm here now. He held her for almost a minute until she appeared to calm down a bit before speaking. Take me to your sister, said Harry. Can you save her? Daphne stared directly into his eyes. You called me here because you thought I could help her, Harry pointed out. I don't know, after seeing what you did that day, that power. I thought that if anyone could save her, it was you. She looked down, feeling a bit self-conscious. Harry placed a hand on her head. Then I better not disappoint you. You can really save her. Daphne exclaimed. I'll need to see her first, and for that, you have to let me go, Harry pointed at her arms as she was still holding onto him in a tight hug. Ah! Daphne yelped and released him immediately. This way. She started walking at a fast pace. Let's go, Dobby, Harry followed her closely. Today, you will be my assistant. Yes, Master Sir. Dobby ran after Harry while carrying a metallic box in his arms. The group reached a pair of wooden doors almost 3 meters tall. Daphne opened one of the doors and went inside. Harry followed and found Lord and Lady Greengrass sitting next to a king-size bed. A small girl lay motionless on top of the bed. Harry could not help but frown when he saw her. She looked so much worse than the last time he saw her. Her pale skin was almost transparent, and she was so thin that you could see her bones. Let's hope I can make it in time, it looks like she only has a few hours left at most, Harry thought. Mr. Potter? What are you doing here? Lord and Lady Greengrass turned around and stared at him and his elf. Chapter 156, Forbidden Magic. I called him, Daphne admitted. Lord Greengrass's eyes shifted from Daphne to Harry. Mr. Potter, I don't know what my daughter was thinking to bring you here, but there is nothing for you to do here, please, go back to your home. Wait, Sebastian, his wife interjected, walking over to them. Daphne, why did you call Harry here? He can help Astoria. Daphne said with conviction. Dear, I know that he is an extremely talented boy for his age, but, your father has spent a fortune bringing here countless experts of all kinds of healing arts to see your sister, and no one could do anything for her. Selene Greengrass looked very troubled. She knew her daughter had good intentions, but this was not helping. And what did these experts say? Harry approached the bed and made a quick magical scan. Astoria had barely any magic left, she was almost a squib at this point. Sebastian Greengrass gave Harry a hard glare. They all said that her curse was impossible to remove since it wasn't cast directly at her. But it was something placed on our bloodline. The curse is part of her magic, and there is no way to separate the two. He was angry but still explained the situation to Harry. Yes, that's what I thought, healing will not help her. There are only 2 schools of magic that can save her, and none of their practitioners will answer your calls. They will never move just for money, Harry commented. What do you mean? Do you know someone who could help my daughter? Selene asked with hopeful eyes. Even if I did, she only has a few hours left, said Harry. A few hours? That's it? Daphne exclaimed. Selene gasped in horror. Sebastian didn't say anything because he already knew it was true, he knew his daughter was not going to survive the day. But you are in luck. I happen to be an expert in one of those 2 branches, Harry admitted. What kind of magic are you talking about, Mr. Potter? Sebastian sounded very skeptical. Well, the first one would be necromancy. He waited for them to calm down before continuing. A necromancer could separate her soul and body, allowing the curse to dissipate once it had nothing more to consume, before reattaching them. However, this would not return her to her previous self but instead turn her into something akin to a zombie. Her body will slowly decay and will have to be preserved with charms, and her mind will also be affected a great deal. That's horrific! Selene exclaimed. I will never allow a necromancer to turn my daughter into a monster. Sebastian shouted with fury. Yes, I wouldn't recommend that method, and I don't know enough about that type of magic to perform it either, Harry agreed. So, what is the other branch of magic? The one you are an expert in, Daphne asked. Demonology, Harry said. What? Have you lost your mind? Sebastian stood up. This is no time for jokes. Demonology? That's impossible. That's a myth, demons don't exist. Selene said, in a more collected tone than her husband. Father, Harry would not joke about this. And he is a lot more capable than you can imagine. Daphne shouted at him. This took Sebastian by surprise, as his daughter had never raised her voice to him in such a way. I can assure you that demons are very much real. You probably have already seen a few and didn't know about it, said Harry. I think I would remember that, Selene raised an eyebrow. Have you ever seen a Dementor? Harry asked. Dementors? The creatures protecting Azkaban? Those are demons. Asked Daphne. They are not from around here, that's for sure, Harry answered. Some madman brought them here 5 centuries ago to protect his fortress. He is right about that. Sebastian said. What do you mean? Asked his wife. Demonology is not a myth, is real, he glanced at Harry. Is also the most forbidden branch of magic in the world. Just the mere mention of practicing it will turn you into a wanted man in all nations covered by the ICW. Yes, that's why I have some conditions before I do anything, said Harry. So, you claim to know about that magic and that it can save my daughter? Sebastian asked. I do, and yes, it can, is probably the only thing that can save her at this point. Sebastian Greengrass looked at Harry with his intense silver eyes. And where did you gain knowledge about this kind of magic? I doubt the Potters passed it on, and your father is one of the most righteous men I have ever met. And there are definitely no books about this in the forbidden section of Hogwarts. My 2 conditions are these. Harry ignored his question and raised one finger. 1. Whatever happens in this room, you will not talk about it with anyone outside it. If you do, you will bring death upon yourself and my family. He raised a second finger. And 2. You will not ask me where this knowledge came from, not now nor ever. This is ridiculous. Sebastian shouted. It was very rare for him to lose his calm demeanor, but this story about a 13-year-old child who could summon demons to save his dying daughter was too much. If you cannot agree to my 2 conditions, then I won't be able to help you, Harry told him. Father, please let Harry help, Daphne pleaded. Dear, we have tried everything. We had men dressed in strange clothes dancing around our daughter's bed, or that one spitting salt on her, we tried everything out of desperation. Let's give him a chance, what do we have to lose? Selene tried to reason with her husband. Sebastian remained silent for over a minute after that. He then looked directly at Harry, like he was trying to discern something. Until he eventually spoke again. Very well, Mr. Potter. I'll agree to your conditions. Chapter 157, Preparations. Do you require some sort of oath? Sebastian inquired. Your vows of silence will suffice, Harry replied. He knew that the contract would prevent them from speaking. Asking for a magical oath at this point would be insulting. And having this man as an ally could prove very useful. You have my word, Mr. Potter, Sebastian assured. You have my word, Harry, added his wife, Selene. I won't say anything. Daphne exclaimed. Then we'd better get started, Harry said, glancing down at the floor of the room. It was made of small pieces of high-quality wood, forming a complex pattern. Wood is no good. I need stone at least, he mumbled as he approached the closest wall under the watchful eyes of the family. He tapped his wand against one of the many stones forming the walls of the room. The stone came loose from the wall and floated in the air. Harry directed the stone to the center of the bedroom. Engorgeo. The stone grew 10 times in size. Harry tapped the giant stone again and, without uttering a word, it started to change shape by itself. Is that a chantless transfiguration? Sebastian asked, wide-eyed. This was not something he expected a young student to be able to perform. There were 2 main ways to use transfiguration. One was to chant an already known spell. This would help circulate the magic and mold the object into the desired shape and material while the caster focused on the wand movements and a clear mental image. The second was chantless transfiguration. The caster had no help here and must do everything by themselves at the same time. They had to mold the material with their magic like a master potter working a piece of clay to create something beautiful. Harry's family had always been talented in this type of transfiguration for some reason, and Harry himself was one of the best among them. Daphne glanced at her parents and noticed how impressed they were by this little demonstration. If only they had seen what he did, how would they react, she wondered, as she had never told her parents what happened that day with the basilisk. Harry finished forming the stone into a big platform with a diameter of around 2 meters, 6.5 feet, and rested it carefully on the floor. On top of the platform were engravings depicting a very detailed magical circle with a pentagram inside and several runes on the outside. The 3 observers got a good look at the platform when Harry walked to one side. Those runes look a bit strange, Daphne commented as she saw them. She had reverently started learning about runes and planned to apply for the class in her 3rd year. The runes Harry had carved looked familiar but also different from the ones she had studied. These are the original Norse runes, her mother explained to her. Selene had studied runes after graduating from Hogwarts for several years. If she hadn't gotten married so young, she would have become a teacher of runes at some point. Our current rune system used these ones as a basis for its creation. So, these runes are outdated then? Daphne asked. She did not understand why Harry was using them instead of newer ones. They are old but not outdated, Harry told her. These runes can convey the calling in a much more concise way than modern runes can. It sends a clearer idea to them. Calling? Daphne asked. Of course. Just opening a door will not be enough. The nether is immense, more than you can imagine. It could take years before a demon showed up, and it would likely be the wrong kind. We need a very specific demon. It dawned upon Sebastian the reality of the situation. You are planning on letting a real demon into my house? He exclaimed. Yes, what did you think I was going to do? Asked Harry. Sebastian did not know what to answer to that. He hadn't thought about what Harry was actually going to do, but he could not admit that. Is it safe? Isn't the demon going to attack us? Selene asked with worry. You are not going to bring a dementor here, right? Daphne looked concerned. Harry raised an eyebrow. Why would I bring a dementor? I'm trying to save your sister. As far as the demon attacking us, there is little chance of that happening. They usually honor their deals, unless something happens. In a way, they are more trustworthy than humans. And besides, the one I'm calling is one of the weak ones. I won't let it hurt anyone. Now, let me work in peace, I need to focus. He turned around to look at Dobby. Put the box on the floor and open it. The elf did as told while Harry removed his robes, leaving himself wearing only a dark shirt and some black pants. Then, he removed those too, revealing a light-colored shirt that he normally wears to sleep. Why are you? Daphne stopped her question when she saw Harry pull a big ceremonial knife from the metallic box. Dobby, remember what we talked about before? Harry took out a round potion now. The liquid inside was extremely bright, almost as if it could be used as a source of light. Yes, Master. Dobby took the shining potion in his hands. Lastly, Harry took one last flask out of the box. This one was dark in color and had many white runes carved on its surface. He then walked to the center of the room and stood in front of the stone platform he had just created. We are ready to start now. Chapter 158, The Infernal Gate. Harry carefully positioned the small vial at the precise center of the intricate pentagram etched onto the stone platform. What exactly is that vial for? Sebastian inquired, his curiosity piqued as he examined it closely. Despite his extensive experience as a potion master, he found himself unable to identify its contents. It's not a potion. This vial contains a fragment of a soul, Harry explained matter-of-factly. A soul? Celine's expression twisted with horror. There's a soul inside that thing. Daphne's voice trembled with unease. To be precise, it's merely a fragment, Harry clarified, his brow furrowing in concentration. He intended to utilize this fragment of Voldemort's soul to attempt to locate the other horcruxes, should they also exist in this reality. However, Harry had doubts about the efficacy of this plan. Given that this fragment originated from a different timeline, it might have no connection whatsoever to the fragments present in this world. Nevertheless, he felt compelled to try. At least that was the plan, but now he had to use it. He could not let that girl die when he had a method to save her, even if it cost him an opportunity. So, you intend to use that to lure the demon here? Sebastian deduced. There are few offerings more enticing to demons than human souls. Even a fragment is considered a delicacy. To demons, human souls are akin to the most exquisite feast imaginable, Harry explained solemnly. May I dare ask whose soul this is? Sebastian inquired cautiously. Let's just say it belonged to a deeply malevolent individual, deserving of such a fate, and worse, Harry replied cryptically, stopping further inquiries. For a moment, he wondered how would they react if they knew who this soul belonged to. Without waiting for further questioning, Harry drew a deep cut across his left wrist with a swift, practiced motion. Crimson blood welled up and cascaded onto the stone surface. Harry! Daphne cried out in alarm, moving to intervene, but she was held back by her mother's firm grip. Let him, Daphne! He seems to know what he is doing. Selene was somewhat taken aback by seeing Harry cut himself without making a sound of complaint. He didn't even flinch. She whispered. Harry dropped the knife and stopped the bleeding with a potion when he was starting to feel dizzy. His blood flooded the crevices on the stone platform, forming the figure of a magical circle with a pentagram inside. Ditzen Dizut. Harry started to speak in an ancient tongue. Prezio ordained. What language is that? Daphne whispered, her voice barely audible amidst the charged atmosphere. SHH, be quiet. Don't interrupt him now. Her father cut her off. He may not know anything about demonology, but he had a feeling that something very bad could occur if he was interrupted at this point. As Harry's blood began to bubble and froth as if boiling, the runes inscribed on the stone platform shimmered with an ominous red glow. Zados. Harry's voice grew louder, infused with urgency. Contre tu bet. The mist coming out from the boiling blood became thicker and thicker until it turned back into a red liquid and formed a circular shape that stood floating in the air. The liquid looked almost like blood, but they could all tell it was something else, something not from this world. The gate is open, Harry declared, his gaze fixed upon the ethereal portal that materialized within Astoria's bedroom. At that moment, the vial containing Voldemort's soul began to levitate, drawn by an invisible force. Harry had his wand ready already. A wisp of pure white light formed at the tip of the wand. The surface of the gate rippled and three strange fingers emerged from it. Daphne and her mother gasped in horror at the sight of the inhuman appendages, their minds recoiling from the unnatural sight. The hand, with its crimson, leathery skin, and elongated claws, extended tentatively at first, then swiftly lunged for the vial. Harry acted immediately and poked at the hand with his wand. As the white light made contact with the red skin, the creature on the other side of the gate let out a shrieking sound that pierced their ears and immediately retracted the hand back to where it came from. Was that a? Sebastian was unable to keep his calm. He was truly scared, he had never seen something like this before. A demon, yes, but not the one we need. That one tried to get greedy and went for the vial. We will need to wait a bit now, said Harry before glancing at Astoria. The young girl had not moved or made a noise the entire time. Let us hope she can last a bit more, Harry muttered. They continued to stay in the room without moving from there for 30 minutes. It was only then that the gate reacted again. Another hand came thought. This one was very different from the previous one. This hand had smooth dark skin and 5 human-looking fingers. Harry grinned. This is the one, looks like we got lucky. But this is... Selene, along with her husband and daughter, stared in disbelief at the creature coming out of the infernal gate. Not because it was hideous or monstrous, but because of how human it looked. This is a demon. Daphne found it hard to believe. Chapter 159, Forbidden Magic. After the hand, a human-looking torso came through the gate. A female torso with almost pitch-black skin. She had no hair, and her eyes were closed, but she looked almost completely human, though something was off. She wore no clothes, but her big, exposed breasts had no nipples, and her skin was just too dark to be human, almost reaching a charcoal black. That woman is a demon? Asked Selene. She doesn't know. Sebastian's words died in his mouth when he saw this woman open her eyes. They were completely round in shape and had a solid yellow color, no pupils, iris, or anything that a normal human eye could have. This one thing alone had made this creature completely inhuman looking, but then she opened her mouth. Instead of teeth, she had thousands of long filaments hanging from her mouth, kinda similar to those seen on a blue whale. The creature let out a loud shriek that no animal on earth could muster. They then noticed that the creature was now paying attention to them, and instead, her attention was solely focused on the vial resting at the center of the circle. That's the payment, go do your job, Harry ordered the demon. The female humanoid moved her eyes to Harry as if she had just noticed he was there. Harry pointed at the bed where Astoria was resting, and the demon moved her eyes there. Her yellow eyes opened widely as if she had just found something very interesting. Can she understand English? Daphne didn't know why she asked that. Considering the weirdness of the situation, this creature understanding their language would not be that strange or important. But Harry answered anyway. No, it can't. Some demons can speak human languages, but this one can only read basic intentions. Our intentions? How tha? Daphne screamed. Daphne, what is it? Selene heard a crunching sound and looked back at the demon. The creature moved towards the bed, and as it did, more of its body came out of the gate. At first, they had only seen a floating torso poking out of it, but now they saw the rest of it. The human-looking torso of the creature was connected to an insectoid body. The elongated insect body had a black exoskeleton and countless feet that kept tapping on the wooden floor. By the time the human part had reached Astoria's bed, its insect body was still coming out of the gate and twisting around to fit in the massive room. Wait! Stay away from my daughter, you demon! Sebastian rushed to his daughter's bed. Let the demon do its job, Lord Greengrass. It's not going to hurt her, just eat her curse, said Harry. Eat the curse? Selene asked. Yes, this type of demon can feed on all sorts of powerful energies, including curses. Wizards and witches from the east have been using them for centuries, now. Beads of sweat were starting to fall from Harry's face. Let it do its job. I won't let it harm Astoria. Harry. What's wrong? Daphne had recovered a bit from her fright when she saw Harry acting strange. I'm fine. He said while clutching his arm. Let's get this over with. Sebastian took a step back, letting the humanoid part of the demon climb onto the bed and get closer to Astoria. He was well aware that this was his daughter's last chance to survive, so he had no other choice but to trust Harry's decision to bring this monster to his house. Daphne and Selene remained quiet and watched in horror as the demon got its human-like body on top of Astoria and opened its mouth widely. The long white filaments inside its mouth started to move, and the demon made a strange noise. Harry had to do his best to ignore the increasing pain in his left arm and pay attention to the demon, just in case it tried something. But that was very unlikely. He understood this demon well enough. The centipede demon feeds on powerful sources of energy with the filaments inside their mouth. At this moment, Astoria had almost no magic and no life force left. The most notable source of energy in her was her curse, so that's what the demon would feed on. As far as the demon was concerned, Astoria's magic was just some breadcrumbs thrown to one side while her curse was a luxurious delicious meal that it could not resist eating. What? Sebastian exclaimed when he saw something purple coming out of Astoria's mouth and entering the demon. Is that the curse? It was the only thing he could think of. The strange purple mist continued to leave Astoria's body as the demon was happy to devour it. The event lasted less than a minute, but for the family watching, it felt like an eternity. As soon as the curse was completely consumed, the demon seemed to lose all interest in Astoria, much as Harry had hoped. The creature closed its yellow eyes and moved away from the bed. Sebastian, Selene, and Daphne felt a bit relieved to see this, but they would not feel completely at ease until this demon left their home. The centipede did not need to be told what to do next. The only thing left of interest for it was the vial with the soul fragment. The creature turned its body in the altar's direction and started to move at a slow pace. Harry clutched at his arm, and his breathing became more erratic. "Not now," he pleaded. The centipede demon used its human hands to grasp the vial, but when it was about to leave through the portal, something changed. Chapter 160, The Voice. Harry clenched his left arm as a wave of intense pain invaded him. Tendrils of black ink moved across his skin, breaking it apart and forming intricate marks on its surface. He was accustomed to feeling pain by now. He could break a few bones, and his facial expression would barely change. He could withstand the effects of the Cruciatus curse without screaming, but this was a different type of pain. The brand was not just being engraved into his flesh and bones but also his very own soul, tearing it asunder and changing it. "I had hoped, but I didn't get rid of this damn thing, it followed me here, attached to my very being," Harry lamented. The pain continued to increase until Harry could not help but scream out loud. "Harry!" Daphne exclaimed, alarmed. She had never seen him like this before. No matter how difficult the situation got, Harry always maintained his poise. "What's wrong with him?" Selene asked, not understanding what was happening. The demon had not even touched him, so he couldn't have been injured. From where Sebastian was standing, he saw a brand appear on Harry's arm. It started on his left shoulder and continued to grow across the surface of his skin, forming an intricate shape. The demonic centipede noticed the change in Harry and suddenly became very interested in him. Its yellow eyes opened widely, as did its mouth. The tendrils inside it moved around very fast as the demon made a guttural noise and approached Harry. "Stop!" Daphne yelled at the demon, afraid it wanted to hurt Harry. "Stay away from him." She took out her wand and pointed it at the creature. The infernal gate started to ripple again and changed color towards a golden tone. The family glanced at it, expecting with dread to see a new demon trying to make their way into their home. But instead, the only thing coming out of the gate was a soft voice. The voice began to speak in a bizarre language they could not identify. "What is that?" Sebastian shouted. The sounds coming out of the gate were piercing into his mind and bypassing all his mental defenses with no effort. What he was hearing were not words, but there was a hidden meaning there that he was unable to understand. "Get out of my head!" he shouted. The centipede demon switched its attitude immediately after hearing that voice. Its curiosity was then replaced by shock and then, anger. The centipede demon glanced at Harry with its intense yellow eyes and hissed at him. Not even a second later, the demon lunged with its human arms at Harry, as it was trying to grab him. "Dobby, now!" Harry shouted the command to his elf. The little house elf did not hesitate after hearing the order and threw the shining potion he had been holding in his hands, as his master had instructed him before coming into the green grass residence. The potion impacted Harry, the demon, and the gate. The glass container shattered into 100 pieces, and a wave of blinding light rushed out, filling the room completely. They all heard the demon let out a blood-curdling scream but were unable to see anything. The light prevented them from seeing but did not hurt them in any way. In fact, they all felt warm and protected under its embrace. This event only lasted for about 10 seconds, and then, there was absolute silence. As their vision returned to normal, they did not hear the demon or the strange voice again. When they were finally able to see again, the hideous creature was nowhere to be seen, and neither was the infernal gate. They only saw Harry, kneeling on the ground next to the stone platform, which was now cracked in half. Daphne ran to his side while her parents tried to make sense of the situation. Harry was still clutching his left arm and looked to be in deep pain. "Are you hurt?" Daphne looked at him up and down but could not find any visible injuries. "We have some strong healing potions, I can bring you some." "No, just need a moment." Harry breathed with difficulty. "I'll be fine." "Is it over? Is it really gone?" asked Sebastian while clutching his head. What was that? That presence-peaking thought the infernal gate had been trying to enter his mind. In a way, it had been a lot more terrifying than the centipede demon. "Yes, the demon is gone, and the gate is closed. You are all safe. Master Harry." Dobby looked at him with concern. "I'm okay, Dobby, you did a good job back there." Harry gave the elf deserved praise before he glanced back at Sebastian. You should go check on your daughter. The Lord gasped. So many terrifying things had happened in the last few minutes that for a moment, he had forgotten why they were doing this in the first place. Both parents ran to Astoria's bed to get a close look at her. She is breathing, Selene noticed with relief. She was alive. Some color had returned to her skin, she was still pale but now looked more natural at least. She looks much better now, Sebastian said with a smile. Astoria moaned, and her eyes moved. She is waking up, Selene exclaimed. Daphne stood up after hearing this and ran to the bed. Astoria, she called. Astoria opened her silver eyes with some difficulty and glanced at her family. Good morning. The family cried tears of happiness and relief. Chapter 161, The Brand. Astoria, you are awake. Daphne had an unusually wide grin on her face. Astoria tried to speak more, but her eyes started to close again. It's okay, my love, Selene told her. You must be very tired. Rest now. Astoria moved her head a bit as if trying to nod, and then her eyes closed again. She is going to be okay now, Sebastian looked at Harry. Is the curse gone? If the curse wasn't gone, she would be dead already, Harry decided not to say that. Yes, the curse is gone. But her body and magic will need time to recover. I'm sure you have many potions to help speed up her recovery. Harry stood back up with difficulty. Dobby, my shirt. The elf hurried up to bring him his clothes. Harry glanced at his left arm, the pain was almost gone. The brand was very faint now that the gate had been closed and that entity was far away, but it was still visible. It's never going to disappear completely now. He knew this for sure. Harry had hoped that after waking up in a different timeline with a different body, he would not have to worry about this brand again, but he was wrong. It must be attached to my soul. In that case, it will follow me always. He had already considered this possibility but now he had the confirmation. No use complaining now. He told himself in a whisper while putting his shirt back on. Mr. Potter. Sebastian approached him. I believe you can call me Harry at this point. We can drop the formalities a bit after this, he told the Lord. Sebastian nodded in agreement. Harry, you saved my daughter, my family owes you a great debt. Harry noted how Lord Greengrass had worded that. The debt was to him, and not to his family. He was leaving the Potters out of this matter because Harry had told him to keep silent about what happened on this day. I'm sure there will come a time when you can repay that debt. For now, I'll just ask you to remain silent about everything you saw here today. That includes the rest of my family, Harry told the Lord. He had no plans of demanding anything outrageous from this family. And he would not have minded brushing off this debt, but to a pure-blood lord like this one, that would have been a great insult. Like telling him that his daughter's life was worthless to him. I understand, Sebastian said, and then Harry saw the man smile for the first time. Thank you. Harry put his robes back on and looked back at Sebastian, who was still standing in the same place. Is there something you want to say? The Lord looked troubled. You don't have to answer me, but, about that brand on your arm. I couldn't help but see it, it's... You are familiar with these types of brands, Harry stated matter-of-factly. Already knowing what brand had this man seen before. My brother was foolish enough to join him, the Dark Lord. Sebastian lamented. Dear. Selene spoke softly. She knew how little he liked to talk about his younger brother. He paid for that with his life already. But... I saw that brand on his arm a few times. I remember well the feeling it gave off. And it reminded you of this one, Harry pointed at his left arm. Harry saw the Lord nod. If you're worrying about me being involved with Voldemort. Of course not. Sebastian interrupted him. That was not my intention. Harry shrugged. That's fine. You are not wrong, the brands have many similarities. Sebastian was surprised that Harry admitted this much. Of course, mine has nothing to do with Voldemort. It was given to me by someone else, someone much more dangerous. More dangerous than? Sebastian looked at the empty space that the demonic gate had occupied a moment ago. He recalled the gate doing something strange when Harry was clutching at his arm. Then there was that voice, who was that, what did it want? Sebastian thought. Harry saw his expression change and knew what he was thinking. It's best if you forget about that, many have gone insane just for thinking too much about it. Harry looked at the bed where Astoria, Daphne, and Selene were. You have your family back together. Enjoy the moment. Who knows how long it will last this time? He thought to himself. Harry walked to where the elf was standing. He turned around and waved his wand. The stone platform lifted in the air for a moment before returning to its original shape and size and placing itself back on the wall. The knife returned to the box, as well as all the shards of glass left behind by the potion Dobby broke. We are done here, Harry declared once the room was clean again. Wow! Selene stared at the display of magic. He can clean too. Daphne looked shocked. No one would be able to tell what happened here today by just looking at it. Come on, Dobby, we are leaving, Harry told the elf, and this one picked up the metal box. Yes, master. Wait, Harry. Daphne called for him as he opened the door to leave. Hey! Harry turned around and for a moment was reminded of his little sister Holly. As Daphne threw herself at him in the same way, except she was much bigger. Thank you so much! Daphne exclaimed. Harry's body was extremely exhausted by the ritual and by having his brand reactivated, so when a girl his own age jumped at him in such a way. Daphne, heavy! He managed to say before collapsing on the ground under her. Chapter 162, I have a what? We are all ready. Lyra announced loudly as she got in front of him. Harry lifted his eyes from the book and glanced at his sister. She had barged into the library, accompanied by Ginny, Luna, and for some reason, Daphne. Good for you, have fun. Harry returned to his book, not really sure why she felt the need to inform him of that. What do you mean by have fun? Did you forget your promise already? Lyra huffed angrily with her fists at her hips. Hey! Harry gave the girls another glance and remembered the conversation he had with his sister about teaching them a few spells this summer. Right. He put the book down. So you remember now? Well, good. We are ready, teach us. Lyra exclaimed. He was still recovering from the day's experience. Not from summoning the demon, that didn't take much of a toll on him, and after drinking a blood-replenishing potion, he would have been back in top shape. What caused him to be in this state was the awakening of his brand. He still felt tired even after resting for several days, his limbs ached as if he had run 3 marathons in a row, and his arm still felt very sore. But I did make a promise. I suppose it will be good for those girls to learn to defend themselves. That would give me some peace of mind at Hogwarts at least. Let's go to the gardens then, Harry stood up from the couch. Are we not going to that room you used last year? Lyra asked, and Ginny elbowed her side. That was a secret, remember? Ginny whispered to her. No, there is no need for that, and it would be a bit cramped, Harry told her. The group walked out of the library, and Harry noticed that Daphne stayed a bit behind the rest. He assumed she wanted to tell him something, so he did the same and got closer to her. How is Astoria doing? He asked in a soft voice. Daphne smiled. Much better. Father hired a team of healers to stay at her side. They said that she should be in perfect shape very soon. That's great news. Was there something you wanted to tell me? He asked. Yes, actually. I was planning on sending you a letter, but this is faster. My father told me the full list of materials you requested will be ready in 2 weeks. But we already have most of them, so if you are in a hurry to. No need. I can wait 2 weeks. Send the amount to pay and I'll have my elf collect it. I'm not sure if my father will not accept the payment, after what you did for us, Daphne whispered. He will. What I did for your family was a personal favor, this is a business transaction. Let's not mix them. He cared little for coins. Even after paying for this purchase, he would still have a mountain of gold, thanks to Lord Malfoy's generosity. Having Lord Greengrass owing him one was more valuable than that. I will tell him what you said. Daphne looked satisfied with his answer. I didn't expect you to be here though, he recalled his sister telling him about Luna but never mentioning anything about Daphne. Lyra told me to come, Daphne said with a tinge of coldness in her voice. Harry noticed this. Is she mad because I didn't invite her myself? I honestly didn't even remember about this. I had more important things on my mind. I didn't think you would be interested. I'm only going to teach them some basic stuff. I have learned some things at home, but UCA. Wow! Luna interrupted Daphne and got closer to her, her eyes scanning the air surrounding Daphne's head. What is it? Daphne took a step back, attempting to create some distance between her and the strange blonde. You have a lot of raxperts flying over your head. Luna sounded very shocked. I have what? Daphne looked very confused now. Raxperts is the name of one of the creatures that only Luna can see, Ginny explained. She sometimes says things like that, don't let it bother you, Lyra added. That's not true, my daddy saw a nargle last summer, Luna informed her that she was not the only one who could see them. So, only your family can see these creatures. Daphne looked a bit suspicious. That sounds crazy. Luna asked her directly. I have been called that a lot. She seemed unfazed. I wasn't going to say something that impolite. Daphne told her. She is not exactly making things up. Luna has a peculiar gift, Harry spoke. She does? Asked Lyra with shock. I do. Asked Luna, equally shocked. She can perceive things that cannot be glimpsed with naked eyes, Harry said. You mean like magic? Daphne asked. Harry gave her a nod. Something like that. The truth is that even he didn't understand exactly what Luna's ability was. But he knew she wasn't just making things up. His best guess after knowing her for so many years was that Luna was somehow able to see souls and spirits, and her brain interpreted it in that peculiar way. Oh, so your family must have some bloodline ability. That's incredible. Daphne was truly impressed. That type of magical ability was incredibly rare, even among old magical families. So, I'm not crazy? Luna asked. You are a bit crazy. But someone else with your gift would have gone insane already, Harry told her. Okay then. Luna shrugged and continued to walk, not seeming to care that much about what Harry told her. Wait. Daphne went after her. You said before that I had a lot of. She forgot the name already. Raxperts. Luna glanced up. You have a few more now. What does it mean then? Is it bad? Daphne asked. Now that she knew Luna's ability was the real deal, she was getting worried. Hey! Luna stared at Daphne with a blank expression. How should I know? I have never seen this many before. She turned around and continued to walk. Daphne was left standing there, completely baffled. But you, why would you mention it then? Lyra tapped her on the shoulder. Don't think too much about it, Daphne. Ginny approached her. Yes, it is best to forget about it. Last year she said I had some gulping plimpies running around me. I still don't know what she meant. I don't think Luna knew what she meant. Lyra added. Chapter 163, Harry the Teacher. All right, give me your wands, I will remove the trace, Harry told them once they arrived at the garden. Mine was already removed last year, Daphne said. Daddy also removed mine, Luna added. Hold on, what? How did that happen? Lyra questioned the girls. She believed only her brother would do that kind of stuff. Some seniors removed the trace on my first year, Daphne explained. They do this for all new Slytherin students. Why? Lyra asked. Everyone knows the whole thing with the trace is the Ministry's way of controlling Muggleborns. It should not apply to students who live in magical houses, Daphne answered. My brothers said the same, Ginny commented. But Mom and Dad refused to remove mine. They are very strict when it comes to obeying the law. What about you, Luna? Lyra asked. I have to do a lot of cleaning around the house, so Daddy removed the trace of my wand so I didn't have to borrow his anymore, Luna told her. Lyra glanced at Harry with a frown. You could have removed mine last year. To do what, exactly? Harry sighed. Just give me your wand, I'll remove it now. Once everything was ready, Harry walked to the middle of the garden. There was a big and almost empty space there, with only a giant apple tree. Harry tapped one of the branches, and it started to grow in length. The branch slithered over the grassy ground like a snake and formed more branches as it passed. From these branches, humanoid figures started to form. What are those for? Asked Lyra. These are going to serve as your targets, Harry said as the figures finished transforming into very simple wooden golems. Their feet were still attached to the main tree branch, making it easier for Harry to repair them. Wow, I could barely transform that toothpick, Ginny looked impressed. What defensive spells have you learned already? We can go from there, Harry asked them. Luna shrugged. Lyra scratched her head. Ginny glanced at her friends with a troubled expression. Nothing. Harry was not expecting much, considering their only defense teacher had been Lockhart, but this. He did not even teach you one spell. Oh, he did teach us one. Ginny got excited. Ginny, don't. Lyra became embarrassed. Yeah, you know, the charm to make our teeth shiny when we smile, Ginny explained. That's not a defense spell, Ginny, Harry pointed out. Ah, no, but it was the only spell we learned from him. I think, Ginny said while looking down. That's it? Harry asked. To be fair, he didn't teach us a single spell to us second years. Unless you want to count the one he assured us would serve to chase out a werewolf, but it sounded so ridiculous, Daphne frowned. Mom was very angry when I told her about him, and she went straight to talk with the headmaster, Lyra commented. What did she say to the headmaster? Ginny asked. I don't know, she never told me. But she looked a lot happier when she came back, Lyra said. Fine. Harry started. Let's just start from the beginning. He walked some distance away from the dummies and stood next to the girls. I'll show you how to use the disarming charm. Harry made a circular motion with his wand, followed by a stabbing one. His movements were slow but fluid. Expelliarmus. From the tip of his wand, a flash of light came out and clashed against the hand of the target dummy, destroying it completely. Oh, so that's what you meant by disarm, Luna nodded like she understood something. Okay, you girls try it now, Harry told them. Lyra, Ginny, and Luna started trying to replicate what he did. Expelliarmus. Lyra made a correct motion, but her aim was a bit off, and missed the dummy's hand. Luna hit the dummy on its shoulder and removed the entire arm. Luna, aim for the hand, that's where the wand usually is, Harry told her. But I'm trying to disarm him. She complained. Never mind. He turned his attention to Ginny. Her movements were good, but she was also missing the target. It doesn't go where I want it to go, Ginny pouted. He found her reaction very amusing. Haven't seen her do that in a very long time. Let me see it again, he instructed her. Ginny performed another disarming charm, but her aim was off once more. I see. He got closer. You are ending the spell too soon. The end of the motion also serves as your aiming tool. You have to get the timing right. He got behind the girl and grabbed her wand hand. Har! Ginny's face became as red as her hair. Let me show you. His hand made contact with her wand and formed a gentle connection. Harry then moved Ginny's arm and formed the charm. Expelliarmus. Ginny felt his magic course through her hand and then the wand. It shone brightly until a spark of light came out and hit the training dummy on its hand. There, that is the correct timing. You just need to practice it. Ginny, are you listening? He noticed that the girl was staring at the ground and not paying attention. Why yes. She hurried to say. Okay then. He let her go and took a step back. You can also practice with a stick so you don't exhaust yourself. Silencio. The head of the training dummy went flying. Harry glanced back and saw Daphne clenching her wand. Daphne. I think you poured a bit too much magic into that one, Harry told her. Chapter 164, Going on a Trip. It seems like you kids could use a break, Lily said as she entered the garden, carrying a tray of sweets. Their house elf, Mipsy, followed behind her with some tea. They placed the trays on the biggest stone table near the entrance. Thanks, Mom. Lyra hurried over and sat down. I'm so hungry. That's good, but don't fill yourself with sweets. Lily observed as the rest of them arrived and sat down. Oh, you made my favorite. Thank you, Mipsy, said Harry. You are most welcome, Master, the elf replied. How is the practice going? Lily asked. Is going great, right Ginny? Lyra exclaimed. Ginny? Are you okay? Lily noticed the girl wasn't answering and grew worried. Hey. I mean yes. It's great. Ginny glanced at Harry for a second before looking down again. Lily raised an eyebrow. Is that so? Wow. Ginny has a lot of raxperts around her head now, Luna said while staring at the red-headed girl. Leave my raxperts alone, Luna. Ginny exclaimed. But they are distracting me. Luna complained. What? Lily wasn't sure she wanted to know, but she asked anyway. It's one of Luna's creatures that only she can see, Lyra explained. Aha! Lily didn't know what to say to that. She was not familiar with the Lovegood family. She only knew they lived close to the Weasleys and that Lord Lovegood was a bit eccentric. She decided to avoid the topic and looked at Daphne. The blonde girl was sipping her tea with the manners expected from a pure-blood princess, but Lily noticed she had not touched any of the sweets. "Are you not hungry, Daphne? If there's anything specific you like, Mipsy can prepare it for you." "It's not that, Lady Potter. I'm on a bit of a diet." Daphne looked a bit embarrassed to admit it. "Diet? But you are already so thin." Lily noticed the girl stealing glances at her son. "I see." She looked at Harry with suspicion. Harry noticed this and returned the stare. "What?" he asked. "Aren't you a popular one?" Lily teased. Harry had been focusing on his dessert and had no idea what his mother was talking about. So he turned to his left and asked Luna. "What did I miss?" "A lot of rack spurts, I think," Luna answered while digging into her cake. Why did I ask her of all people, he wondered. "And what has Harry been teaching you?" Lily asked them. "The disarming charm," Lyra answered. "Expelliarmus? That's a very useful one." Lily looked at Harry. "Good choice, son. At least now we know one defensive spell," Lyra huffed. "Yes, your first-year teacher was truly disappointing," Lily said. "But worry not. I made sure to solve that problem already." "You mean the day you went to talk with the headmaster?" Lyra asked. "How did you solve it? What did you tell him?" asked Harry. "I just mentioned that I didn't like his way of choosing professors." Harry had the feeling that his mother did more than just mention it. "And what then?" Lyra pushed her mother to continue. "I can't say more, but the problem is solved." "You can trust your mother," Lily assured them. "Why can't you say more?" Lyra asked. "Are we getting a good professor next year?" Ginny asked. "It's a surprise. That's all I will say." Lily ended the conversation there. "Fine." Lyra huffed. "We should get back to our practice now. I think I am close to mastering the disarming charm." "You still can't hit the target though," Luna reminded her. "Neither can Ginny," Lyra exclaimed. "But Harry helped her with that, right?" Luna glanced at Ginny with her innocent eyes. Ginny covered her face. "You have to help me with my aim first." Daphne grabbed Harry's hand and started to drag him away. "Your aim?" Harry asked her. "You were doing quite well before. You just need to put less power on your spell." "No, it was definitely off," Daphne insisted. Lyra was surprised to see her act in such a way. "What's with Daphne today? She never behaves like that." Lily chuckled. "Oh, your brother is very popular. So, do you remember everything I said?" James asked his son. "Of course, Dad. We'll only be there for a few days," Harry told him. "Why are you giving him the instructions?" "I am the adult here," Lily huffed. "Well, I suppose you are right," James said, not wanting to upset his wife. He handed her the portkaya in the form of a large coin. This was a special type of portkaya, an international one that allowed them to go through magical Britain barriers and enter a different country. Harry had initially planned on making his trip to Spain by himself but then discovered that minors were not allowed to travel alone, except for very specific circumstances. So in the end, it was decided that Lily would accompany him since James was currently busy, working on a case involving some missing persons that he couldn't talk about. "I always wanted to visit another country." Lily looked excited about the trip, even if they weren't exactly vacations. "Your father never takes me anywhere." "Oi!" James complained. "Haha. I'm joking, James." Lily knew well that the reason for not going out too much was because of the danger of encountering some Death Eaters. Despite what the Ministry usually says in the newspapers, Britain has become a very dangerous place after Voldemort's first appearance, and even after going missing, there has been a lot of activity from Death Eaters and other dark wizards. Now, I want you to be very careful. I haven't heard about any Death Eater movements over there, but France had 2 raids last year, said James. "We will not be going into France," said Harry. "I know, but the Spanish magical community you are visiting is a very old one, which means, there is probably a lot of shady stuff going on there," James warned them. "I want to see them try anything." Lily huffed. "Our son has taught me some very interesting spells recently." James sighed. I don't wanna know. Chapter 165, Pomora Alley. Harry and Lily walked through the streets of Barcelona wearing casual muggle clothing to avoid attracting attention to themselves. This is so exciting. It's been so long since I visited a foreign place like this, Lily said, appearing to be in a very good mood as she looked around the streets. I'm glad you're having fun, Mom. But pay attention too, we are about to enter the oldest part of the city. We are bound to cross paths with other wizards and witches, Harry said, his words not loud but audible despite the noise around them. Lily assumed he had used some charm on his voice. Hey, wait a moment, I'm supposed to be the adult here, she complained. Harry ignored her mutterings and focused on finding the entrance since he was not very familiar with this place. Are you sure it's around here? Lily scanned the area. The two of them had left behind the busy city streets and ventured into the oldest area, called the Casco Antiguo. The city was extremely old. Even though it wasn't formally recognized as a city until the 13th century, parts of it had been around since much earlier, and this was the oldest part. They were walking on cobblestones and surrounded by old, gloomy stone buildings. The upper parts of the buildings extended forward, so most of the natural light became blocked. There, to the left, Harry said. They took a turn and found themselves in an alley with no exit. Lily was unable to see or hear anything here. This is it, Harry said, tapping his wand against some of the small stones decorating the walls. They then heard a crack, and the end wall of the alley parted ways, revealing a dark corridor. Lily was a bit dubious but still followed Harry through this dark place. Whoa! She exclaimed. After just walking for a few seconds, the narrow corridor disappeared, and she saw the alley in all its glory, with shops, the street's enchanted lights, and all the wizards and witches walking around. Welcome to the Callejón de Pomora, or Pomora Alley if you prefer, said Harry. For a moment, Lily felt like a kid again, visiting Diagon Alley for the first time. Most of the shops were made of stone, giving it a much more rustic feeling than its English counterpart, but it was beautiful in its own way. It looks more ancient than Diagon Alley, Lily commented. That's because it is. Diagon Alley was built around the 16th century, and this hidden space has been around since the 6th century, more or less. That old? Lily was surprised to hear this. Even Hogwarts Castle had not been around this long. Of course, back then, this was not a commercial alley. It was just a house. A hidden place for a witch called Pomora. Her family inherited the place after she died, and during the Spanish Inquisition in the 12th century, they started to rescue wizards and witches who were being persecuted by muggles. The refugees decided to stay here and expanded the place to create this magical community. You seem to know a lot about this alley, Lily noted. She had read about other magical communities, but it was hard to find much information in books. These communities tended to be secretive when it came to foreigners. I've only been here a couple of times in, my past. But the two old men we are going to visit, well, let's just say that they love to talk. I only remember a fraction of everything they told me, Harry explained. Lily smiled. There are a lot of interesting shops around here, we should look around and bring back some things for the girls. There will be time for shopping later. The item I need takes time to create, so we should order it first. You still haven't told us what this item you need is, Lily pointed out. Her son had this terrible habit of feeding them information bit by bit. She wondered where he learned that from. You'll see very soon, he answered. Ugh! Lily groaned. They continued walking for a bit longer until Harry stopped before a corner. To their left was a narrow corridor with almost no light. It reminded her very much of Nocturne Alley. Harry, don't tell me tea. Senorita, no se meta ahi. Lady, don't go in there. An old lady approached them. Ese lugar es peligroso, es mejor no ir ahi, mucho menos con un niño. That place is very dangerous, it's better not to go there, much less with a child. She glanced at Harry. Hey! Hold on! Lily couldn't understand a word that woman was saying. Right. There was a translation charm, how was it? She muttered. Son ingleses. Are you British? The lady asked. Si, Harry answered. Oh, el pequeño me entiende. Oh, the little one understands me. The lady smiled at Harry. Solo vamos a visitar los hermanos Velázquez. Tenemos un negocio con ellos. We are just going to visit the Velázquez brothers. We have some business with them. Harry told her. Esos viejos chiflados. Those crazy old men. The old lady frowned. Esos dos. Yes, those two. Harry already knew they had a bad reputation around here since they were a very eccentric duo. Ahora te entiendo. Aha, now I understand you. Said Lily with confidence. Bueno, si shannon kir ali, no los voy a detener, pero asegurance de salir del callejón antes de que se haga de noche. Well, if you have to go there, I'm not going to stop you, but make sure to get out of the alley before nighttime. The lady sighed and left them alone. We should get going, we are going to attract attention if we stay in this corner, Harry told his mother. Myra, Harry. Estoy hablando español. Look, Harry. I'm speaking Spanish. Lily had a smug smile on her face. That's great, Mom. But the Velasquez brothers can speak English quite well, so you won't need that charm, Harry informed her. K. Lily exclaimed. Chapter 166, A Peculiar Duo of Craftsmen. Lily followed behind Harry as they passed by many shady-looking shops, most of them closed. She only spotted a few people peeking through their windows as they walked by. This place will get very lively at night, but for now, it's mostly closed. Unless they see us as easy targets, they won't come out, said Harry. Easy targets? Lily inquired. Ah, here it is. Harry took a turn to the right and into an even narrower passage. Lily's shoulders were almost touching the walls as she passed, and someone bigger than her would have to walk sideways to get through. Why would anyone have a business here? She wondered. After getting past the narrow passage, the area opened up a lot. What in Merlin's name? She was not expecting to see this. In the middle of a maze of stone brick buildings was a circular garden with a wooden fence and a fountain. At the center of the garden were two stone houses built against each other. It looked like if you were to remove one, the other one would crumble. The one on the right is the shop, come on. Harry stepped forward and opened the wooden gate. Lily took a closer look and noticed the wood had started to rot, and the garden was filled with growth, while the fountain looked like it hadn't seen water in centuries. This looks abandoned. She commented. I doubt they care at this point, Harry told her. Lily looked at the two houses, they were very similar, but the one on the left was in much worse shape and could collapse at any moment. She was surprised for this place to even exist here. For what she had heard, this alley was even more dangerous than Nocturne Alley, and yet, this little house was allowed to take up all this space when everyone else had small shops and houses, crammed against each other. She then stopped when she heard something crack beneath her feet. At first, she thought it was just a branch, but then she noticed its peculiar shape. Wait, isn't this? Oh, that's a broken wand, Harry said casually. I'm sure there are plenty around this garden. You mean? Lily looked around the place, but it was hard to distinguish anything with so many overgrown plants. This is the best location in the alley? No, the best in the city and many miles around it. I'm sure that many had wanted to take this spot for themselves, Harry told his surprised mother. You are saying the shop owners killed them? Of course. How else are they going to keep this location for so long? Harry pointed at a stone plaque on top of the door before knocking. Lily looked up at the plaque. It had the letters DCLXV carved on the stone. 665. Is that the year this was built? Many shops in Diagon Alley also had plagues with the year they started their business. But you said before this alley didn't exist until the 12th century, Lily recalled. The door opened by itself. Let's go. Harry stepped inside, and Lily followed behind him. She was pleasantly surprised to find that the interior was well kept and clean. It also looked much bigger inside compared to the small stone house she had seen. Bienvenidos. En que pedimos servirles? Two elderly men wearing simple brown robes stood a few steps away from them. I need a staff. A good one, said Harry. Oh. British. I see. A staff, he says. The two of them looked at each other. Hello. Lily greeted the men. Wait, a staff? What do you need that for? You have a perfectly good wand already. Lily was confused. She, of course, knew about staves and other kinds of foci, but Britain only allowed wands to be used, so you would not see them there. Oh, what a wonderful young witch! Beautiful! Absolutely delightful! The two old men stared at Lily. Thanks. Lily didn't know how to react to that. Would you stop staring at my mother so much? Harry was getting annoyed. Forgive us. It's been so long since we have seen a young beautiful damsel like her. See, Harry? Your mother is still young and beautiful, even after 3 children. Lily had a smug smile on her face now. Let's get to business. Harry sighed. I need something that would allow me to channel a large amount of magic without disintegrating, Harry said. How large are we talking about? Yes, it would help to know. About 5 grand sorceries. Harry answer. The two old men went pale. 5. Nonsense. He is speaking nonsense. Grand sorceries? Lily asked. She knew sorceries, but nothing that could be called grand. Big spells, usually cast by groups of wizards or witches working together, Harry answered. And 5. Lily said. Harry had estimated that the unnamed magic he used against the colossal basilisk was around that level. If he could acquire a magical foci that would not break after activating his jewel array, he would be gaining an important weapon. He didn't know if that was possible. The staff he wielded in the past was incredibly good, but even those would break. He never had another chance to ask this duo for another one before this country was destroyed. So you can't do it? He asked. Did we say that? Nothing is impossible for us. They huffed. But not of wood, that's for sure. Yes, it would need to be made of that particular metal. Do we have any left? I think so, we made one kind of similar 3 centuries ago, remember? The one for the Syrian prince with the harem of virgin witches. That one. What happened to him? I think he blew himself up. And his harem. Them too. What a shame. A shame indeed. Can we focus? Harry interrupted their rambling. Did they say 3 centuries ago? Lily was barely following what they were saying, but she understood that. It can be done. It will be expensive though. That's fine by me, what do you want? Harry asked, already knowing that these two were not going to ask for money. But he had a bad feeling when they glanced at his mother. Remember to comment, vote, and / or leave a review if you have the time. Those things help me a lot and I would really appreciate it. Chapter 167, The 3 Cores. How expensive are we talking about? Lily was somewhat worried. She had brought with her a small bag of galleons but wasn't sure if that would be enough. She could only hope that Harry had come prepared. Here. Harry pulled something out of a pocket and enlarged it until it became clear it was a leather bag. Then he handed it to the old men duo. They opened the bag and inspected its contents. Oh, not bad. Lots of good stuff in here. He had filled the bag with many rare materials that he assumed these craftsmen would find useful. He had spent a fortune on that, and he even included the heart of a nundu. Yes, this will do quite nicely, one of the men said. Harry was about to breathe a sigh of relief when the other one spoke. For half the payment, that is. Just half. Harry could not believe what he was hearing. These two were not so greedy in his previous life. Lily didn't know what Harry had put inside that bag, but seeing how surprised he was, it must have been very valuable. If that is not enough, I have some galleons with me, how much W? No, my dear. We have no interest in your coins. Or use for them. We only accept rare materials as payments. Rare materials. She had none of that on her. Never meet anyone who would not accept galleons as payment. Normally, yes. But perhaps there is something else you can offer us. The two of them said while staring intensely at Lily. All of a sudden, the temperature in the room dropped drastically. Be very careful with what you say next. Harry's voice sounded cold and threatening. Ho ho, how dangerous. Dangerous indeed. The two old men moved their eyes to him. Harry. Lily glanced at her son. Is that his magic lashing out? But, why does it feel so cold? Calm down, young lord, we would never ask for something inappropriate from a married woman. We merely ask for a kiss. On the cheek. From this beauty. Wait, that's all you want? Lily was confused. The temperature went back to normal, but Harry was still looking at them with a displeased expression. That's all we ask. You have our word. I mean, okay then. Lily approached them and gave each of them a quick kiss on their cheeks. Ah, how wonderful. Such soft lips. The two men appeared to be delighted by such a small gesture. "Will you make the staff for my son now?" She had no idea why Harry needed something like that, but it seemed to be important to him, so she wanted to help him. "Yes, that was more than enough, young girl. You made these two old men very happy," the two said with wide grins on their faces. "And had we asked for anything more? That young lord was ready to tear us apart." They peeked at him. "You can be sure of that," Harry told them without skipping a beat. "Ha, they requested anything more than that," he was ready to forget about the staff and teach these two old fossils a lesson, despite knowing they would not have been easy opponents. The two craftsmen have been around for a tremendous amount of time and Harry was sure they had a lot of hidden tricks. "So, you have received your full payment?" he told them. "Indeed, the young lord seems to be in a hurry, so we can get started right now." "The youngest are always in a hurry. I wonder why, you have the most time." The duo started to walk out of the room and signaled for Harry and Lily to follow them. They were led to a massively big basement, much bigger than the rest of the house altogether. The basement appeared to be separated into several sections and was filled with all sorts of tools. It became evident that this was their main workshop where they performed their craft. "Over here, young lord. Move your hand over those containers and let us know if you feel anything unusual." They pointed to a large number of glass-looking containers stored on some wooden shelves. "Are you trying to find the best core for him?" Lily asked. She was at least aware of this part of the process for custom-made wands. "Indeed, but it's not just one. Yes, wands need one core, but staves use two. However, I believe in this case. Yes, we will need three. 3 cores. Lily said with shock. To channel the amount of magic the young lord has requested. We will not ask questions on how he plans to accomplish that. Harry. Lily looked at her son, waiting for an answer. "Do you trust me?" Harry asked. "Of course." Lily did not hesitate. "I will show you everything when it's ready, trust me until then." It would take too long to tell her about his artifacts and this was definitely not the place or time for that. Lily stared at her son for a few seconds. "Okay. I'll wait then. Go choose your cores, son." Harry hovered his hand over the glass boxes until he felt some sort of connection with their contents. "This one," he called and continued to move under the careful watch of the two craftsmen. "This one," he called another one. "And this one." He finally stopped. "Let's see. Interesting." The duo started to write some notes. "What materials did he choose?" asked Lily with curiosity. "This is going to be our most difficult work to date." "I think that too, brother." They looked at the names of the materials again. Unicorn horn, thestral hair, and our last phoenix feather. Life, death, and resurrection. An. Remember to comment, vote, and / or leave a review if you have the time. Those things help me a lot and I would really appreciate it. Chapter 168, A Magnificent Creation. They were told to come back 3 days later to pick up the finished artifact. Returning to England would have been quite a hassle since it would require them to acquire another international portrait, so Lily and Harry decided to spend the time here in the city. For the next few days, mother and son spent their free time walking around Barcelona while doing some tourism and shopping, both in the Muggle part and Pomora Alley. On the afternoon of the 3rd day, it was time to go back and visit the shop. The dark alley was a bit more lively than the last time they visited. They saw several suspicious-looking individuals who stared at them as they walked but took no action against them. "Should I be worried?" Lily asked her son, not liking the way they were looking at them. Harry smiled. "You should always be worried. But they don't seem to wish us harm. For now at least," he thought. "Welcome. Welcome indeed." The old twins appeared to be in a good mood as they ushered them into the house. "I take it that it was a success?" Harry asked. "Of course. A great success," they proclaimed loudly. "That's wonderful to hear," Lily said, relieved that the trip was worth it, at least for her son. She had plenty of fun just visiting a new place. "Come. This way." The two old men guided them to a nearby table where something was covered with a piece of red fabric. Lily and Harry stood before the table and waited for the two men to continue. "Allow me the honors." One of the twins pulled the piece of fabric away, revealing their creation. "Our greatest masterpiece to date." The other one added. "Oh." A smile appeared on Harry's face. "That's a staff." Lily said, shocked. She had never seen a magical staff before since they were not allowed in England, but this was not what she was expecting. The most shocking part to her was that it appeared to be made of metal. I thought staffs were made of wood, like wands. Normally, that would be the case. To accomplish the requirements of the young lord, we had to resort to something more durable. No wood would have been able to channel so much magic through it. Only goblin steel had enough reliability while still being capable of acting as a conductor for the cores. The two old men explained. Goblin steel! Lily exclaimed. Isn't the forging of that material a huge secret for them? The goblins can rest assured. We don't know how to create the alloy. But we do know how to shape an already made one while keeping all its properties intact. That's incredible. Lily stared at the artifact. May I? Asked Harry. Of course, young lord. It is yours after all. Harry picked up the staff from the wooden stand where it was resting. It felt heavier than he expected, considering it was made of goblin steel, meaning they must have done something to increase its density and durability. The surface was silver and completely pristine. 4 rows of runes had been carved vertically across its surface, except at the handle where it was completely smooth and comfortable to hold. The 3 cores were all secured inside the metallic casing and could not be seen, but Harry could feel them in there, waiting for him. On the tip of the staff were 3 crystals he was not able to identify. They are called dragon opals. They can only be found on a small island north of Norway. They are the most resistant magical crystals in the world, very rare ones too, the 2 men explained. Harry focused on moving his magic through the staff and creating a connection with it. It was very easy to do. After all, this was something made specifically to match his magic. The crystals on the staff started to shine with an intense green light and a wave of energy came out of the artifact, pushing everything away while sparks of lightning jumped across its surface. Harry had to control the reaction that otherwise would have destroyed the small house and hurt everyone inside. A perfect match. I was expecting nothing less. The twins smiled with satisfaction. Amazing. Lily stared in awe at her son. Despite hearing stories about his accomplishments in his past life, she always had a hard time picturing him doing these things. For her, Harry was still her little boy, but seeing him like this now, his eyes brimming with barely contained power, his magic engulfing the room with such intensity that she had a hard time breathing, she could see it now. He really is something else. Things calmed down after a bit, and Harry placed the staff back on its stand. You two have created something impressive, thank you, Harry told them. Haha. It was our pleasure, young lord. Yes, we should celebrate now. I will go fetch the good wine. I think we should get going. It's close to becoming dark already, Lily said with a slight worry. She had been told by several people never to go into the alley at night time. Here it is. One of the twins said with excitement in his voice after coming back with a dark bottle. Our last Chateau Lafite 1787. Lily stared at the bottle for a moment. Of course, 1 glass won't hurt. An. Remember to comment, vote, and / or leave a review if you have the time. Those things help me a lot and I would really appreciate it. You can support me on Patreon if you like and get 10 advanced chapters. You can also find images of some of the characters from the FIC for free. Like Lyra, Holly, and the alluring Lady Zabanai. Chapter 169, A Lifetime of Learning. Ah! And then what happened? Lily asked. After drinking half a bottle of wine worth a small fortune, she was listening with rapt attention to a story being told by the old twins. Harry, on the other hand, had to content himself with a glass of water since he was not technically old enough to drink alcohol, and that was the only thing these 2 old guys had in the house. Ho ho! It's nice to have a young beauty listening to our old stories. Yes, how long has it been since our last visitor? You know, if you moved your business to the main street, you two would have no lack of clients. She didn't understand why such incredible craftsmen had their shop in such a hidden place. My dear, that is just not possible. Indeed, this shop cannot be moved from here, and neither can these 2 old men. We will remain here until our time is up. The 2 had a sad expression on their faces as they spoke. But why is that? Lily asked. The shop cannot be moved because it's on top of a focal point, Harry explained. The young lord knows. That is correct. The quality of our work would not be the same in a different location. This is the best spot in the city. By focal point, you mean a place where magic is more concentrated, right? Lily asked. Yes, Harry answered. Magic is everywhere, but it doesn't just sit in place, instead, it flows like a massive river. Sometimes, two or more of those rivers will meet at the same location. Yes, I know about that. Most wizard family homes are located in places like those, and Hogwarts is supposed to be on top of a massive one, Lily commented. Correct, my dear. Our craft requires being close to one of these high magical density points. Magical communities always thrive if they are built at the center of one of those focal points. People also call them convergence points. Harry's expression changed when he heard that word. Not because he was unaware of that concept, but hearing that word out loud reminded him of something. A convergence point, that's the same way the time book referred to the points where the wall between two realities was at its weakest and it was then possible to cross, like what happened to me at the end of the year. Now that he thought about it, those two concepts may have some correlation. Hogwarts, Diagon Alley, and the train station were the places where he had been a witness of a convergence taking place, and those are also focal points with high magical density, especially Hogwarts. Am I overthinking things? Or could they be related? Unaware of his internal musings, his mother continued the conversation with the old twins. So that's why you chose this spot. Very clever. But I assume a lot of people would also want to be here, right? Wait. As soon as she asked that question, she recalled all the broken wands in the front garden. Many have wanted our space, yes. Many have tried, and failed. They chuckled. But we didn't choose this place. Yes, Lady Pomora had good senses. The old men said. Lady Pomora. You mean the witch who first came here? Lily asked, still remembering clearly the story Harry told her. Yes, she was a wonderful witch. Indeed, she allowed us to build our house right next to hers. You mean, your ancestors? Because she lived here like 1500 years ago. Lily was confused. The two old men smiled. Lady Pomora took these two foolish old men into her house after we escaped from Rome. It's been so long, we went by a different name back then, but we still remember her like it was yesterday. That's impossible. You can't be that old, right? Lily thought that maybe she had misheard them because of the wine and turned to look at Harry. There are many ways to extend one's life, but they always come with a heavy price, Harry said. Wise words, young lord. And a heavy price we have paid. A myriad of emotions were concealed in their words. Do you regret it? Harry asked. No, the two of them said at the same time. Then it was worth the price. Harry nodded. Lily felt that she was missing something important. Thank you for your kind words, young lord, the two of them said. Lily wanted to ask why they kept calling her son young lord. At first, she thought they were just being polite to an heir from a noble family, but would two wizards this ancient even care about English magical nobility? They never referred to her as lady, even though she is the lady of House Potter. We should get going, it's getting late, Harry suggested. They had to return to the inn and pick up their things before going to the designated spot to use the porte-carte. Wait. But I have so many questions. You two have been alive for over a millennium, the amount of wisdom you must have is. They laughed at hearing this. My dear, we have indeed seen and learned many things in our long life. But we have also forgotten just as many. What do you mean? That you don't remember anything? Lily asked. We wouldn't say anything. We know a great deal about the crafting of staffs and a few other topics. But the human mind is very limited in how much it can store, even with the help of magic. They explained to her. But surely there is something important you must have learned after all this time. Lily insisted. There are some things, of course. Wisdom comes and goes. But your instincts honed over the years will only improve. Lily raised an eyebrow. Your instincts. That's it. Do not underestimate a person's instincts, especially ones honed over extreme periods of time. It is thanks to those instincts that one is able to discern things that others would miss, like gauging the power of an individual, regardless of how innocent they could look. They both glanced momentarily at Harry. Those are the kind of things that allows us to live this long. An. Remember to comment, vote, and / or leave a review if you have the time. Those things help me a lot and I would really appreciate it. You can support me on Patreon if you like and get 10 advanced chapters. You can also find images of some of the characters from the FIC for free. Like Lyra, Holly, and the alluring Lady Zabanai. Chapter 170, Constant Vigilance. Are you that disappointed? Harry asked after leaving the garden. The sun was completely gone, and the sky was dark, but the streets still had some light coming from the surrounding houses. Lily turned around and got another glimpse of the two old houses, one leaning against the other. She now knew the abandoned house on the left belonged to the witch Pomora and her descendants. I mean, they have lived for so long. If it were me, I would have wanted to learn. I don't know everything. They probably did, but only what was truly important to them stuck for the rest of their journey, Harry told her. How do you think they did it? How did they live for 1500 years? He shrugged. If I have to guess, they found a way to bind their bodies to the focal point here and use its magic and their own souls to extend their longevities for as long as possible. So they really can't leave the house. Lily recalled their words. There was probably a time when they were able to move around the city, but the leash continued to get shorter. By the looks of this garden, they haven't been able to leave the house for at least a century or two. They sacrificed their souls and freedom to live longer. Doesn't seem worth it, Lily considered. Everyone has different definitions for what is worth it. Harry reminded her. I suppose, they appeared to be happy enough. The two of them walked through the dark alley in silence until Harry spoke again. How drunk are you after all that wine? Lily was surprised by the sudden question. Hey? I'm fine. It would take a lot more than half a bottle to get your mother drunk. That's good, because we are being ambushed. What? Lily noticed a flash of light behind her and moved aside. A red flash passed next to her head and impacted a nearby wall. Lily immediately pulled out her wand and scanned the area, trying to find the attacker. There. Lily pointed her wand and shot a silent stunner. The red light impacted someone, and they heard the sound of someone collapsing on the floor. Got him! Lily celebrated. Hijitaputa! They heard a female voice yell. That was good, but not that useful. There are at least 3 enemies. Stunners are only good for duels. Renervate. They could not see where they were, but they heard the same female from before. We are back to 3, Harry pointed. Lily glanced at her son. He was standing with his arms crossed and his usual calm expression. Wait, are you not going to do anything? Are you telling your young innocent son to go fight these evildoers for you? Lily raised an eyebrow. He was not taking this seriously at all. I want to see what Lily Potter can do. Don't worry about me, Harry told her. The last time, she was too distracted while trying to protect him. But now, she could focus on defending herself against the 4 enemies. He only had time to teach her one spell, but it would surely come in handy now. Of course, he knew she was in no real danger for as long as he remained close to her, but one day he may not be there and he wanted to make sure she could take care of herself. What? You are going to let why? Lily felt something and moved her wand forward. Prodigo. A couple of spells hit her shield and broke it. Lily did not waste time and went for cover. She had 1 enemy behind and 2 more in front. Take the solitary one first. She thought. A light bombarda against the wall near the duo of thieves served as a distraction. The man and woman hidden in the shadows made a yelp of surprise when the wall next to them exploded, and they were forced to take a few steps back and duck for cover. Meanwhile, Lily sent a silent lumos behind her. The small ball of light illuminated the alley just enough to show her the position of the solitary thief. This was no moment to hesitate, she had a small opening to take this man out. Silencio. Stupefy. Incarceras. She cast the 3 spells in one fluid motion, as her husband had taught her. The thief went down quickly, making it clear that these people were not duelist experts by any means and instead were just 3 opportunistic thieves looking for some easy prey. With one down, Lily focused her attention on the other 2. She could not use a stunner now as they would be able to dispel it from each other, and she was not confident in being able to take both of them at the same time. I'll have to use the spell he taught me. She felt a bit troubled. Don't start doubting now. A moment of hesitation could kill you, Harry shouted at her. Prodigo. Lily blocked the incoming spells, and it was time to fire back at them. Divulsa. She made a cutting motion, and a wave of purple light came from her wand. The male thief tried to use a charm shield, but that only stopped half the spell. The reason Harry chose this particular lethal spell to teach his mother was because it was half a charm and half a curse, making it easier for her to learn it since Lily was already a master in charms. It was also a tricky spell to block, as people would often confuse the motion for a different charm and try to block it with a protego. That was a deadly mistake, as this would only block the charm while letting the curse pass by. Ah! The thief screamed as some purple liquid splashed onto his chest and started to dissolve it. His partner panicked and made another fatal mistake. She tried to remove the liquid using her robes. The curse spread to her and started to consume her. Lily flinched at the macabre spectacle but did not look away. I did this. ICA. She was startled as all of a sudden, some masked man with a knife appeared on her side and tried to stab her. She could not react in time to save herself, but then, the man went flying and was smashed against the closest wall with a loud crunching noise. What was that? She did not understand where that man came from. She looked at her son's expression and realized what had happened. You told me there were only 3. I said at least 3, but you should never lower your guard. I could have also been wrong in my detection. I could still be wrong, and there could be more attackers around. To be honest, I'm not that great at detection. Lily could not argue against that. She had indeed gotten careless. Constant vigilance. That's what Moody always said. Constant vigilance, Harry agreed. Remember to comment, vote, and / or leave a review if you have the time. Those things help me a lot and I would really appreciate it. You can support me on Patreon if you like and get 10 advanced chapters. You can also find images of some of the characters from the FIC for free. Like Lyra, Holly, and the alluring Lady Zabanai. Chapter 171, Xenophilius. Harry landed close to the house. He would have used flow powder to travel here, but Luna's father was a very paranoid man and believed there was some conspiracy involving corrupted fairies leaking information to dark wizards. Funny enough, he wasn't completely wrong about that one. Apparition would have been risky since he had never been in this version of the Lovegood house, and things could be in a slightly different position compared to what he remembers. A humming sound could be heard when Harry tapped the property wards. This was a non-intrusive way to inform the home occupants of his presence. He was looking forward to his conversation with Xenophilius. It didn't take long for Luna to send him an invitation after he requested to speak with her father. The girl didn't even know what he wanted to speak about, but she had always been very carefree with these things. Harry felt the magic moving around the ancient wards, and the wooden house that had been previously in sight disappeared. It was then replaced by the real Lovegood house as it came into view a short distance away. Had someone entered the property without permission, they would have wandered around for a very long time before finding the real place. The Lovegood family home was more similar to a tower than a typical house. Wizards used to employ these kinds of buildings a lot in the past as they were easier to defend. The tower was surrounded by a well-kept garden, filled with flowers of all kinds and colors, giving the otherwise gloomy tower a picturesque appeal. Harry had no doubt this was Luna's doing. The door of the tower opened up by itself. I guess I'm being welcomed, Harry told himself while walking towards it. Daddy! Harry is here. He heard Luna calling from upstairs as he crossed the entrance. I'll be down in a minute, Pudding, her father answered. The blonde girl came down the stairs while jumping. Hi! She greeted him with excitement. Hello, Luna, have you been practicing what I taught you? Yes, I have already disarmed all the scarecrows in the field, Luna explained. Poor scarecrows! Harry lamented. Lyra told me to visit your home tomorrow, she commented. Yes. He had agreed to give the girls a few more classes until the end of the summer. After all, he had plenty of free time even with his own personal daily train. Today she went to the Weasleys. Ginny's oldest brother is also there, I believe. Ah, there he is. Xenophilius descended the stairs and glanced at him with interest. The man had long blonde hair like his daughter and was wearing a flamboyant yellow tunic that would make Dumbledore proud. Let us take a seat in the kitchen, we can talk there, he said with a mischievous smile. Harry and Luna followed him, and the three of them sat down at a small circular wooden table. Very cozy for an old tower, Harry commented after looking around the kitchen. Right. Xenophilius grinned. It's all thanks to my Luna. I don't know what I would do without her. His expression changed to a very serious one as he looked directly into Harry's eyes. So, Mr. Potter, I know why you are here. Harry raised an eyebrow. Did he sense the item in my bag? Maybe I didn't give him enough credit, but why do I feel so much tension in the air? Mr. Lovegood, allow me to speak first. Xenophilius raised a hand to interrupt him. I know you are here to request the hand of my lovely daughter in marriage, but let me tell you something first. What? He knew the man was peculiar, but he was not expecting this. Why are all purebloods so obsessed with marriage? In his previous life, he had grown away from the magical world, and even after entering Hogwarts, he never got involved in politics, so he was not used to these things. Don't you think for a second that it will be that easy? I will not give you my precious Luna. He slammed his palm on the table with fury. No, that's not what I... Very well. Xenophilius interrupted him again. Your tenacity has won me over. You may marry my beloved Luna, but I have two conditions, and they are not negotiable. Like I'm trying to say, that is not what I... Condition 1. Xenophilius raised one finger in the air. You must treat her like she is the most important thing in the world, because she is. He raised another finger. And 2, you must move to live here. This tower would crumble in a week with my daughter. Harry looked at the girl in question. Can you reason with your father? Please. Hey. Luna was staring at the ceiling with misty eyes. Sorry, I think I saw a crumble hornet's Nurlac passing by. You weren't listening at all. Harry sighed. Did I miss something important? That happens a lot, Luna told him. Wait, don't tell me. Xenophilius gave him a suspicious look. You want to taste the milk without buying the cow? Cow? Luna became confused. Daddy, don't be silly. We don't have any cows here. I'm going to stop you right there. He did not like where this conversation was going, so he put his bag on the table and opened it up. I came to talk about this. He pulled his invisibility cloak out. A cloak? Wow, it's so pretty. Luna commented. What is this? Zeno got closer to inspect the item. Why did you bring me a... Wait a minute. He saw the symbol inscribed near the neck area of the cloak, and his demeanor completely changed. Can it be? He said with shock. I have looked for them for so long, is this really? An. Remember to comment, vote, and / or leave a review if you have the time. Those things help me a lot and I would really appreciate it. You can support me on Patreon if you like and get 10 advanced chapters. You can also find images of some of the characters from the FIC for free. Like Lyra, Holly, and the alluring Lady Zabanai. Chapter 172, The Power's Origin. Yes, this is the Cloak of Invisibility. It has been passed down through my family for many generations, Harry explained. The Potters had it, of course, I should have known. The Potters and the Peverils were very close in the past, Zeno said. Yes, I heard that too. Harry nodded. Incredible, this is a real hallow. But... Zeno ran his fingers through the fabric and noticed the obvious issue. It stopped working a year ago, Harry confirmed his suspicions. This can't be possible. Zeno picked up the cloak and examined it further. Are you sure it's not a fake one? Luna asked. Her face was uncharacteristically serious. Even a high-quality invisibility cloak doesn't last more than a few years. This one has been in my family for several centuries and was working perfectly until last year when it suddenly lost all its power and became a normal cloak. This is a real hallow, one of the three, I would bet my life on that claim, Harry answered. I do not doubt your word, Mr. Potter. But you said this cloak lost its power, that is just not possible, Zeno told him. Well, that's what happened, Harry said. You are aware of the source of this power, yes? He nodded. Of course. I know what the tale said. These 3 artifacts were crafted by Death himself. Is more than just a tale. I have spent a very long time researching them, trying to find them. And I have learned much about them and where they came from. Their power originates from Death, yes, and thus can never be exhausted or disappear for as long as Death exists. Why did it stop working then? Do you have any theories? Asked Harry. If its power didn't vanish, that must mean it went somewhere else, Zeno said. It went somewhere else. Harry muttered. If you could find the other 2, perhaps we could learn more, Zeno suggested. Harry thought about it. I may be able to get my hands on the wand. You know where the wand of power is. Zeno didn't expect him already to know where the second artifact was located. I do, but I have good reason to believe it had also lost its power. I'll try to get it, Harry told him. I could pay a visit to Riddle Manor at some point to see if the stone is still there, but that is very unlikely. Would you mind leaving the cloak with me? I would love to study it further, Zeno requested. If that helps, I don't mind. But take good care of it. Even without its power, it is still a family relic, Harry said. Of course, Mr. Potter. Zeno appeared to be very excited at the prospect of studying one of the legendary hallows. Just call me Harry, no need for Mr. Oh, in that case, you must also address me by name. Mr. Lovegood is just too long and formal. You may call me Xenophilius Louis Gruffide, the third. Harry raised an eyebrow. Can I just call you Zeno? He shrugged. If you prefer it. Once you marry my daughter you can call me father. What? He thought they were done with that. I'm getting married to Harry. This was new for Luna. No, hold on. Oh no. Ginny and Lyra are going to be very disappointed. Luna said with a sad tone. Wait, what? Harry shouted. On the next day, Ginny and Luna came to the Potter Manor for another defense practice session with Harry. So, is it not true? Lyra leaned closer as she asked him for the third time. How many times do I have to tell you? No one is getting married. Harry was beginning to lose his patience. Ginny glanced at Luna. What did your father say? Oh, he offered my hand to him, but Harry said he had to think about it, Luna explained. I did not. Harry noticed the tiny smile on Luna's face and realized she was messing with Lyra and Ginny. This must be her version of a prank, I guess. Forget about that, you have better things to occupy your minds on, Harry told them. But... Lyra muttered. Today I'm going to teach you the stunning charm. Harry aimed his wand at one of the training dummies. Stupefy. A wisp of red light impacted the chest of the dummy, creating a lot of sparks. Isn't that a bit boring? Lyra complained. Boring? Harry questioned her. Yes, I mean, yesterday. Ginny's brother taught us this bat bogey hex. Lyra waved her wand at the dummy and was surprised when nothing happened. The bat bogey hex won't work on a wooden dummy. It has no bogies. Harry informed her. Oh, that makes sense, said Ginny. What were you thinking? It's so obvious, Luna taunted her. Shut up. Lyra became embarrassed. Harry, did you know my brother's jinx? Ginny asked. This was supposed to be something her brother had created, so how could Harry know about it? No, by the way she formed her magic, the wand movements, and the name, I was able to figure out what the jinx is supposed to do, he just said the first thing that came to his mind. Amazing. Ginny looked at him. Her ember eyes were filled with admiration. Stop it, you are making me feel guilty, Harry thought. In any case. Lyra spoke again. Can you teach us something like that? You want to learn something flashy and eye-catching? Harry asked. Yes. Lyra shouted with excitement. Ginny did not say anything but was also looking with a lot of interest. Okay, pay attention. I will only show it to you once. Lyra got closer and opened her eyes wide open. Lumos solemn. My eyes. Lyra shouted. Chapter 173, The Missing Family. The Potter family was having dinner one night when James had some news for them. I will be gone for the next week. I have an investigation to perform in France, James announced. You are going to Paris. Lyra became instantly interested in the conversation. Is this about that case of missing people you were working on? Harry asked. Yes, it's still that same case, James replied. Those missing persons must be very important, then, Harry pointed out. The ministry would never try this hard if the victims were from an average wizarding family. They are, yes, James confirmed. Who are they? Someone we know. Lyra inquired. Harry observed his mother's expression, and by the faces she was making, she knew. I cannot talk about an investigation in progress, James said. But you told Mom, Harry countered. I did not, James muttered. Oh, come on. You can trust us, we won't tell anyone. Lyra exclaimed. You are terrible at keeping secrets. You always end up saying something, James reminded her. If an important pureblood family has disappeared, the ministry won't be able to keep it a secret for too long anyway. People always talk, Harry remarked. He is right, James. When the boy fails to show up at school, they will know that something has happened, Lily added. The boy? Lyra asked. James sighed in defeat. Fine, but better keep your mouths shut about this. If people find out, let it be by someone else, it's the Malfoys. They have been missing since the end of June. Draco is missing. Harry was not expecting that. James nodded. And his mother too. Any suspects? Harry inquired. We already questioned the most obvious ones, but we have nothing to link them with the disappearance. The usual ones, he is likely referring to Lord Parkinson, the current Dark Lord, and his closest associates. But if they are not involved in their disappearance, there is another individual that could be responsible for this. That would be Voldemort. Harry thought about it for a moment. By the look his father was giving him, he had reached the same conclusion. And what are you going to do in France? Lyra wanted to know. The Malfoys have 2 properties in France. We may be able to find something if we search them. Be careful, you don't know what you could find, Harry warned him. If Voldemort was actually involved in this, things could become dangerous. I'm always careful, son, James grinned with confidence. And I will have Mad Eye Moody with me, as well as a few other competent Aurors. We will be fine. Harry didn't leave the house much during the next week. For the next practice, Daphne had brought with her the full list of materials he requested from her father. There was still a month left before Holly's birthday, and he had a promise to keep. He had to craft a golem for her. Harry taught Luna, Ginny, and Daphne how to use the silencing charm, while Daphne began to practice the Incarcerus conjuration. This was considered a very advanced spell, but Daphne showed an impressive amount of talent. Once she masters her arsenal and learns to chain spells one after another, she will be a force to reckon with. Ginny, do you have a minute? Harry approached the redhead. Yes? I mean, yes. Of course. Ginny did her best to hide her nervousness. She didn't have many chances to speak with him alone. What is it? There has been something I have been meaning to tell you for a while but haven't found the chance. Really? She stammered her words and looked down to hide her embarrassment. Yes, how do I say this? How do you feel, Abu? Yes. She hurried to say. Ginny? I haven't asked you the question yet. Harry looked confused. Sorry. It's okay. So, what I wanted to ask you, how do you feel about becoming a seeker for the Quidditch team? Yeah, wait, seeker. Now it was Ginny's turn to be confused. I haven't told anyone yet. But I'm planning on quitting the team, Harry explained. What? Why? You are the best seeker the team ever had, she asked. There is no way to say this without sounding arrogant, but playing at Hogwarts is boring for me. There is no challenge. And I'm sure my teammates resent me for winning the games too quickly and not giving them the chance to play that much. You did finish all the games very quickly, that's true. Ginny assented. But, you want me to take your place? I don't think that. Yes, I have only seen you fly a couple of times, but I can already tell that you have a lot of talent, Harry said. Ginny was taken aback by the sudden praise. I don't know. I am aware that you and Lyra wanted to play as chasers. But there won't be an opening in that position for at least 2 more years. And playing as a seeker would allow you to improve your flying skills. Ginny nodded. She could not argue with what he was saying, and she knew it was a great opportunity, but she didn't feel prepared to take on such a role right now. We still have a bit over a month before classes start. I could teach you a few things. Ginny's interest peaked at hearing this. You want to give some personal training? Yes, Harry nodded. Just you and me? Ginny asked. Well, of course. I'll do it. Ginny shouted. Chapter 174, Ambush. On the next day, the Potter family received some concerning news. James had been seriously injured during his mission in France and was currently in St. Mungo's. They rushed to the hospital, and upon entering his room, the family found Alastor Moody standing next to his bed. Dad. Daddy. James. Oh? Looks like your family is here to see you, James, Moody said, his magical eye scanning the crowd for any threats. James, though visibly tired, managed a smile. I'm sorry for making you all worry. I'm fine. Harry observed him carefully. He seemed fine at first, but then he noticed his left leg was covered in bandages. It also appeared too thin for a normal leg, giving Harry an unpleasant feeling. "Your leg," he said. It was hit by a very potent dark curse, but it's fading already, he noticed with relief. "Ah, yes. That was nasty curse," James replied, not seeming inclined to elaborate on the details in front of his daughters. "Don't worry, boy. Your father won't be needing one of these." Moody tapped his prosthetic leg. "The healers did manage to remove the curse. He'll be walking soon enough." "James, is that true?" Lily stared at her husband with concern. "I may need to use a cane for a while, but the healers said they will be able to regrow all the muscle and bones in less than a week, and then I'll need at least 2 or 3 more weeks to recover completely." "That's a relief." Lily turned to Moody. "What about you, Alastor? Were you hurt too?" "Just a few scratches. I got lucky, can't say the same about my other men," Moody said somberly. "You mean?" Lily didn't need to finish the question. Moody shook his head. "Well, I'll leave you for now. You seem to be in good hands," Moody said. "Oh, before I forget, Amelia contacted me. She will come by tomorrow to visit you." "I understand. She is going to need my full report," James replied. Moody bid farewell to the family and left the room. "When can you leave the hospital?" asked Lyra. "I think in about 6 or 7 days. You don't have to return to work so soon, right?" Lily asked. James shook his head. "I still need to speak with my boss. But they should let me free until my leg is completely recovered." "Does it hurt?" Holly asked with concern. "Not anymore, my love. They gave me a lot of medicine," James reassured her. His eyes met Harry's for a moment. "Lily, can you take the girls out for a moment? I need to speak with Harry alone for a few minutes." "Okay." Lily didn't question it. She knew her husband wouldn't have asked for this if it weren't important. "Let's go, girls." But I wanna stay with Daddy," Holly complained. "I know, dear. But why don't we go buy something delicious to eat from the cafeteria and bring some to your dad? Maybe some sweets too," Lily suggested. Holly was already at the door. "Let's go." Lyra looked back at Harry, suspicion filling her eyes, but she didn't say a word. Harry noticed this. He knew his sister sensed that something was off with him. It made sense, after everything she had seen him do. But for now, at least, she hadn't demanded any explanation, and he wondered how long that would last. After the girls left, Harry closed the door and secured the room with a few charms. "So, what happened there?" Harry asked. James sighed. "As planned, we went to investigate the 2 Malfoy properties. The first one was completely empty, and I really mean empty, not even a piece of furniture was left. The Malfoys are probably hurting for money. It wouldn't be surprising if they sold everything that was non-essential to them," Harry remarked. "Yes, that was our conclusion too," James admitted. "And then? What happened at the second house?" James took a moment to gather his thoughts before continuing. "That one was different. There were signs that someone had been living there until very recently. We did not find any traces of the Malfoys, even after using all sorts of tracking spells, making it clear that whoever had been living there, had not been the Malfoys. And then, an ambush. 5 individuals, we don't know where they came from. We made sure the house was empty, even Moody scanned everything with his magical eye. They must have apparat in, Harry suggested. Apparition or a flow entrance are the most likely scenarios. But that means we must have triggered some alarm that alerted them to our presence in the house. But still, even in that scenario, we should have had the advantage. Counting me and Moody, there were 10 Aurors. 9 were veterans with many years of combat experience, we only managed to take down one of them while they killed 8 of us and almost got me too. If it hadn't been for Moody's quick reaction. They were that good." Harry understood the Death Eater organization quite well. During its early years, that group was composed of lords, ladies, and their pure-blood descendants. They were all from wealthy families and, as expected, they were not the best fighters. Few of them could have defeated a veteran Auror. Had it not been for Voldemort himself, they would not have gotten very far in their initial rebellion. Of course, that changed during the Third War when demons came into play, but that was not applicable here. We underestimated them. I'll admit that much. Were they really Death Eaters? Harry asked. What did they look like? Did you manage to identify any of them? James shook his head. They wore black tunics and pure white masks. All the masks looked exactly the same, a simple skull with some brand on the forehead. We were only able to kill one of them, but they took the body away. The description could fit the Death Eaters. But their masks were all different though. They liked to be unique in their own way, Harry commented. Yes, I noticed that too. These were different, and they were much stronger than the typical Death Eater, James said. Can you show me your memory of the event? Perhaps I can find something else, Harry requested. I was just going to ask you that, James grinned. He lay back on his bed and looked directly at Harry. Go ahead, I have lowered my defenses. His wand appeared in his hand. Legilimency. Harry's vision changed as he delved into his mind, and he found himself in a poorly lit living room. He was seeing things from his father's perspective. Moody was just a few feet away, looking around incessantly. 5 more aurors were in the room, rummaging through drawers and cabinets. Another auror entered the room to give a report, and that's when things went awry. Moody yelled at the auror next to the door to take cover, but it was too late. A flash of green light hit him on the side, and he fell down. 5 individuals with black cloaks entered and started attacking them. The aurors fired back while using the furniture as cover. Spells flew all over the place, but Harry noticed that 2 of the masked individuals never cast any spells. They didn't even hold wands in their hands. Instead, they wielded knives. The 3 who did use magic were extremely skilled. They didn't just use the killing curse and hope for the best, they combined it with many other support spells to disable their opponents and used the environment to their advantage. They also served as cover for the knife users. When the aurors hid behind the furniture and stopped shooting, the knife-wielding Death Eaters jumped into action. They moved at an impossible speed, leaving behind a shadowy residue. They leaped through the air and climbed walls to avoid the auror spells before attacking them with their knives. One of Moody's curses hit one of the wand-wielding Death Eaters, killing them on the spot. At this point, only Moody and James were left. James faced off against one of the knife users and was stabbed in the leg during the struggle. Harry paid attention to the weapon now that it was up close. The blade was completely black and had a clear baleful aura around it. James managed to push the attacker away with a dépulso before being stabbed again. Moody grabbed him, and they escaped by breaking one of the windows and mounting onto Moody's broom. Harry's vision returned to the present as he looked at his father. That was close. James nodded solemnly. Yes, very close. I don't want Lily or the girls to know how close it was. Did you know you were almost killed by a vampire with a cursed blade? Harry asked. James didn't seem surprised to hear this. So it was a vampire. I didn't know for sure. I knew it wasn't a normal human. But Moody has more experience with them and told me. Uncle Remus mentioned some strange vampire activity last year. Harry recalled hearing that but didn't think much of it at the time. Yes, we also received some reports of the sort over the past year or so. It seems like he had successfully recruited a few vampire clans into his ranks. Voldemort. James looked genuinely worried now. You're going to have to be extra careful for now. We don't know what else he has or what he has been doing for the past 10 years. It's obvious that he has not been idle. Voldemort has spent the last decade preparing for his return. Chapter 175, Hot Temper. The last month of the summer went by quickly. While their father enjoyed his vacation relaxing at home, Harry finished the golem he had promised his sister, Holly, for her birthday. It was made of wood, stood 20 centimeters tall, 7.8 inches, and had a high-quality arc stone to act as a renewable source of power. The construct was only able to follow simple commands, so it didn't have much practical use, but Holly loved it nonetheless. She called it Woody and had it running all around the house. On the last week of the summer, just one day before their trip to Diagon Alley, Harry had made plans with Ginny to give her one last class before it was time for Hogwarts. When he entered the garden, Harry was surprised to find his sister and Ginny having a heated argument. "Why are you being like this?" Ginny asked. "You know why. Why have you spent so much time with him?" Lyra demanded to know. "I already told you everything." Ginny sounded frustrated. "I don't keep secrets from you. You think I didn't notice? You haven't mentioned Neville or the boy who lived in months." Lyra said back. That has nothing to do with anything," Ginny replied. "Yes, it does. You got over Neville, and now you are going after Harry. Well, you can't have him. Lyra huffed. What? Ginny was taken aback by her friend's reaction. She was then going to say something, but Lyra stormed away. Lyra! Ginny called for her but was ignored. She stood there in shock, not sure what she should do next. Lyra can be very temperamental sometimes, said Harry, startling Ginny in the process. Harry! Ahem, were you listening to our conversation? She asked. I wasn't trying to pry, but you two were being quite loud, Harry told her. Right, about what Lyra said. Ginny became very embarrassed. Don't worry about it, Harry reassured her. I'll go talk to Lyra. Why don't you wait here for a bit? We have our class afterward. Are you sure it's a good idea? That was the main reason she got mad. Ginny appeared to be conflicted. Of course. It's our last practice, we can't waste it, Harry insisted. Ginny assented. Okay. I'll wait then. Will you tell Lyra that I never wanted to do anything to upset her? Harry gave her a thumbs up. Leave it to me. He found that Lyra was inside her room thanks to a couple of point me spells. She had locked the door. Alohomora. Hey, what are you doing? She shouted when she saw the door opening. What if I was changing? Nothing I haven't seen before, Harry told her nonchalantly. Don't remind me of that. She complained while her cheeks became somewhat red. What are you doing here? I came to talk to you, about that silly argument you had with Ginny, Harry told her. Lyra's eyes opened widely. You heard that? I heard some of it. What was that about anyway? I was just giving her some flying lessons so she could take my place as Seeker next year. I'm sure she told you about it. I know. Lyra admitted. But Ginny, never mind. She wants to take me away. Harry asked. Lyra became embarrassed at being reminded what she said but then, she nodded. Do you have any idea how silly that sounds? Harry asked. Lyra did not answer and instead continued to look down at her bed. I'm your brother, Lyra, and no one will take me away from my family. She lifted her gaze and stared at him. Then why did you trust her with your secret instead of me? It wasn't much of a secret. I just told Ginny because it was relevant to her, but that's not the secret you really want to talk about, is it? Well. Lyra appeared to be hesitant to speak about this. Go on, you can tell me anything, you know that, Harry reassured her. I overheard a conversation you had with Mom and Dad last Christmas. I see, and what did you hear? He asked, unsure about what conversation she had heard. I didn't understand much, but there was something about your original second year, a diary, and I think you said that you had fought the basilisk before. What was all that? I don't understand. Lyra questioned. Ah. Now he could recall the conversation she was referring to. No wonder she is so confused. No one would understand that out of context. Harry sat on the bed and took a deep breath. It's true, there is a big secret about me that I have not told you. I knew it. Lyra perked up. What is it then? I can't tell you right now, Harry said. Why not? I know I'm not the best at keeping secrets, but come on. Lyra exclaimed. At least you admit that much, but it's not that simple. This is not a random gossip that Lavender and Parvati would comment about. If this information ended up in the wrong hands, our entire family could be in mortal danger. Do you understand? Harry's serious tone startled her. Is it that bad? Lyra already knew this was something important, but not like this. Yes, it is. I don't like keeping things from you, but if you want to get involved in this, you will have to show me that you are truly ready, Harry told her. Okay, what do I need to do? She asked. Do you know what occlumency is? Harry asked her. I do. It's some type of magic that is used to protect the mind. Dad said he was going to teach me when I was older. He said it was very important. It is very important, yes. There are people out there who can enter your mind and steal all your secrets. Occlumency is your only defense against such an attack, Harry explained. Will you teach me, then? Harry nodded. And when I learn this occlumency? Once you can protect yourself, I will reveal everything. In truth, he did not want her to know much, not because of a lack of trust, but because he did not want to see his sister involved in the upcoming war. If he is lucky, everything will be over before she comes close to mastering occlumency. Lyra appeared to be satisfied enough with this deal, at least she had confirmed her brother was keeping a big secret and had promised to tell her in the future. Now that this matter is resolved, can you go back and fix things with your friend? Harry asked. I suppose. I think I owe her an apology. I'm sure it will be fine. Ginny knows you are very hot-headed and get easily carried away, Harry told her. Never mind. She had no defense. Say, Harry. Can I join in the flying practice? Sure, I don't see why not. This is the last lesson thought. Harry said. That's great. Let's go then. Lyra looked excited now.
Thanks for listening.